108. Call now.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
Look at this one under eye bag. It's gone.
There's this side and this side.
This to this.
50 and haven't slept in weeks. 35 and fresh from a vacation.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes in as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or
it absolutely could be a daily thing, but the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
You know, one of the top headlines we were talking about is AMC theaters.
Yes,
right?
great one.
Going to the movies. I'm
Correct,
not really a big moviegoer, but I do love 007 and Mission Impossible. I saw the last one after not going to the movies for quite some time. What type of movies do you like?
Yeah, you know, John, it's interesting because I'm not a typical moviegoer myself, but I feel like this summer there have been so many great movies. I liked The Karate Kid, you know, the latest one there. I did see the Mission Impossible one as well.
It's pretty good.
It was very long.
It's 2 hours and 51 minutes.
Extremely long. So I think AMC is definitely making a play to try to get more people in theaters because there's just so much content. Finally, content.
If you can stay awake.
The Dove has an unexpected expense. Our video switcher must be replaced. Will you prayerfully consider helping to replace this important equipment? Thank you for partnering with the Dove.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. This is the place. If you go anywhere else, you'll be disappointed.
Okay, that's a high bar.
There you go.
Okay.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Thursday. We like to sneak ahead and call it Friday Eve. Jerry's here. That's all that counts because that means the show will go on.
Yeah, a little ragged, but we're going on.
We're going on.
Here we go.
Anyway, good morning to you. A lot in the news. I don't know when there isn't. I was doing my thing, which at times I get a little bored doing it, where I surf and look at all the headlines and I go, why do I even want to talk about this stuff?
I know, yeah.
Let's just go have root canals on the sidewalk.
Do you, as you go through the news items and you start listing them, do you ever get to the point where you think, this is too much?
Well, you know, it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
And we are addicted to electronic data.
Right.
Whether it's our phone or whatever. We're addicted to it. Come on, be real here. It's an addiction. I don't know what the solution is other than try. You don't think you're addicted to something? try stopping it.
Oh, exactly. And especially as we shop through the news cycles, you know, they know that we're addicted to it. We're going to keep coming back, so they keep modifying it like every few minutes. So there's something new.
Yeah, and you actually peek over there, and then you go back. You know. Anyway, good morning. Happy Thursday. Boy, there's a lot going on. We'll give our part of it, some of it, you know, and see what happens here. How's your leg?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I notice you're only walking with a cane.
I'm hippity-hopping all the way around here.
You got a full pair of shoes on.
Yeah.
But you got this big sock on the other one.
I got a compression sock, you know, that keeps things going. And you're right, I got my feet in shoes. Now, my right foot is one full size bigger than my left foot.
That's okay.
So I'm wearing 12s.
Are you?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm walking.
Well,
so
it gives you an excuse to buy 2 pairs of shoes at the same time.
You know, it's interesting when you do some of the basic functions that God gave us, you know, in this body that He gave us. When you get some of them back, it's amazing how much you appreciate it.
Oh boy!
You know, some of the basics, like walking.
Yeah, like walking.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Really good.
All right. Good morning to you. Anything special today?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because today is Chronic Disease Day.
Oh gosh!
And it's not something that we wish upon anybody. This is just to raise awareness of chronic diseases. A lot of people deal with it, and these are diseases that aren't going away tomorrow. You know, and it's conditions, physical conditions, and it can strike at any time in our lives. But it seems to be a little more common as we age, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's amazing what happens as you start. Xing days off the calendar.
It's amazing some of the things that you start trying to ignore as you get a little bit older. It's like, okay, why do I feel that in my back this morning? I have no idea why. All
of them.
Yeah.
Of all the aches and pains.
Okay.
That's the one that drives me the worst.
Yeah. Yes.
That lower back thing.
Yes, because it limits mobility. It's uncomfortable, and there's not much you can do for it.
Well, I have come up with. I told Peggy I'm allergic to anything that has a handle.
What kind of handle?
Well, like a shovel or a rake. A shovel, a rake, you know, a broom.
Push mower.
Push mower. Anything that has a handle, I'm allergic to it.
Yes, I like it. Moving on. It's National Kitten Day.
Kitten?
Yes, kittens. Meow, meow, little kittens. You know, they find their way into our hearts and then they grow up. Yeah. And they're a little different.
Oh, they
but we have one little kitty cat, and we appreciate our cat. He does he's very functional. He's a good mouser. He's a good ratter.
Okay.
And boy, he keeps my area clean.
Well, then I got to have one of those.
I got to say one thing, though, you know. My cat is good with, you know, mice and rats and stuff like that, but not very good with skunks. Now, my dogs, on the other hand,
you don't want that.
They're not very good with skunks either because they don't know when to back off. And they got one into I have a little shed that I have a mower in and a quad. Yeah. And they got a skunk in there and it sprayed my quad. It sprayed my quad. I went in there to use my quad and I walked in. I thought, this is foul. And then, you know, I get down there and I touched the quad to get started, and I smell my hand. I got skunk on my hand from my quad.
So what'd you do? Did you drive down the river?
I got rid of the dogs.
No, you can't do that. No, dogs are stupid when it comes to skunks.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is also National Clara Hugh Day. Now, Clara Hugh is a style of poem.
Oh.
Clara Hugh poem must have 4 lines, rhyming couplets of AA and BB, a person's name in the first line, something said about that person, and humor, because Clara Hugh poems are meant to be a funny poem. So I have 2 examples.
Okay.
Yeah. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, quite the sage, made physics cool at every age. His hair was wild, his thoughts profound. He turned the universe upside down.
Wow.
I got one on Jonah, too.
Okay.
Jonah tried to run away, but found himself in disarray. A giant fish became his ride. 3 long days he stayed inside. Wow. How about that? So that's your Clara Hugh. All right, I have a couple fun facts.
That's something they would probably give you in school as an assignment.
I think so, too, yes. And You know, I don't know. You got to think a lot about trying to get all those rules. There's too many rules for poetry. I just need free-form poetry, and I don't necessarily need it to rhyme.
You know, it's only 6 minutes past the hour. My brain's not functioning.
Okay, let's move on.
All right.
Okay, I got science, I got geography, and I got something fun. The fun is, you know, we know that a group of seagulls together, it's a flock of seagulls, right?
Flock of seagulls.
Okay, a group of flamingos together is called a flamboyance.
A flamboyance?
A flamboyance.
I didn't know that.
I had no clue. Okay, I have a science fun fact. Octopuses have 3 hearts and they have blue blood. 2 hearts pump blood to the gills and 1 heart pumps it to the rest of the body. So you can never look at an octopus and say you have no heart. They have 3 hearts. And geography fun fact. Let's be careful with this one. Now this is actual geography. There is a town in Norway that's called Hell. And in the winter, it actually freezes over. This is true.
That's probably why they named it Hell.
Hell, I think so.
So Hell does freeze over.
It does in Norway every winter. Every winter.
Okay.
So take that one.
Okay. Well, here's a guy that has 1 heart and a broken leg.
A look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with daytime high temperatures in the upper 70s for Vancouver and Portland and low 80s in Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with decreasing clouds, gradually becoming sunny with daytime highs near 83 for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 85 in Eugene, with lows tonight in the mid-upper 50s. More sunshine today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s in Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny but cooler with daytime highs in the upper 80s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny and breezy with highs in the low 70s around Coos Bay, 61 in Brookings and near 67 in Port Orford and Crescent City, California, with a northwest wind gusting up to 39 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with some smoky haze for the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 88 in Ashland and Klamath Falls with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Into northern California with sunshine and daytime highs in the low 90s in Wairika, sunny and hot with highs near 105 in Redding, 103 in Chico, and near 101 in Sacramento with a west wind around 5 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 72 and a light southwest wind. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 90. It's a snapshot of your Thursday weather thanks to Grange Co-op.
Right, and there's a picture of our valley. You can see the air inversion keeping the smoke down low. Still one fire. This is off the top of Mount Ashland. Mm-hmm. So, man, the equipment that's sitting outside our door right now it's the biggest I've ever seen.
You were mentioning the inventory to me.
I wrote it down.
Okay, good.
Oh, here it is.
This is amazing.
We have a story, and I can give you a little bit. We had 72 wildfires start from the storm.
Oh, wow.
Outside our door, right out here, we just took a walk out there. Not 1, not 2, 3 DC-10s. 3 of these high-wing 4-engine jet jobs. I don't know. I got to figure out what aircraft they are.
I
think they're Canadian-made.
Okay.
We have 3 MB-80s and 2 King Airs, all sitting outside the door here. Oh, and 1 Hercules. I forgot to write that down.
What's a Hercules?
Well, it's that great big plane that they use in the military.
Yes. Okay.
Well, this one's been converted for this kind of use.
All right.
And it's a neat plane. It's really cool. All this is sitting right outside our door here. I've never, all the years we've been here, I've never seen that kind of firefighting arsenal.
Is this state, federal? Who?
Well, they're all different contractors.
Okay, all right.
But they were called in, and if you go on watch duty, we have a lot of fires around, especially just to the south of us here in northern Cal and southern Oregon. Serious stuff. But you know what's so neat? Oh man, it just makes you feel so good. These guys are on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were flying right up till dark last night. Mm-hmm. And this is dangerous stuff. And not to mention the ground crews. And all this has to be coordinated and everything. But anyway, God bless them. Good stuff all the way around.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, well,
I think it's time for a little bit of encouragement.
Oh, please.
It's time for Ann Graham Lotz, and she says to blow the trumpet because God is on the move.
And God has given us a lighthouse. He's given us a light. He's given us hope that shows us where we are, so we know where we are in human history, and then he gives us the word to tell us how to navigate the dangerous waters that we're in. And our hope is Jesus. I mean, we know that. But in chapter 2 of Joel, verses 1 to 17, the hope specifically is the fact that God is on the move. He's moving. And the same God who's moving in judgment is a God who is loving. So open your Bibles are open because we just read that. So let's look together at the fact that God is moving in our world today. And I often get questions when I do interviews, and the person will ask me, Ann, how do you see God moving in the world? And I know what they're looking for. You know, you see churches getting filled with people and people going to Bible study, and you see people repenting of their sin. And when you give the invitation, are people just packed out at the altar and people getting it? And, you know, they're wanting evidence of God's movement to be answers to prayer and blessing and miracles. And sometimes God moves like that. Praise God. But sometimes when God moves, it's not pleasant. And we never think that when disasters and the harbingers come, that that's evidence that God is moving in our world. But God is moving. And so in chapter 2, verse 1, it says, blow the trumpet, get people's attention. And I told you last night that first trumpet blast was to arouse the people, to let them know there's an invading army or there's something they need to rally to push back the enemy. It was an alarm that was going off. In fact, in that same verse, it says, sound the alarm. And it's just another way of saying, blow the trumpet, sound the alarm, let the people know this is not a drill, this is the real thing.
Not a drill. Oh, I like that. That's good.
Not a drill.
Yes.
Wow. Good stuff. All right, thank you. Good morning to you. 12 and a half past the hour. Quick look at some of the top stories. I'm not even sure how this works because I'm learning more. As much as we've been involved in our family in politics, I still, you know, you learn something every day.
Oh, I bet you do.
And the question is the power of various positions. So if you're going to run for an office, have you ever really investigated what the position entitles you to do?
That's a great point. No,
you know,
I wonder.
So anyway, here's one. Marco Rubio, who's our Secretary of State, is a little upset with an official at the UN and has sanctioned this person.
Oh.
Now, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
But what happened is the Secretary of State announced that the United States is imposing sanctions on Francisca Albanese, a controversial United Nations special rapporteur on Palestinian rights, because this person apparently is pushing to haul the United States and Israel officials before the International Crime Court, ICC, which has zero authority.
Absolutely, yeah, yep.
So I'm not sure what sanctions mean. It could be that she can't travel within the United States.
Maybe, yeah.
And so I'm glad that finally somebody's pushing the UN. Just keep pushing it clear out of our country.
Get it out, yes.
It's worthless. Anyway, that's an interesting story.
Oh, man.
All right. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is one of the several candidates reportedly being considered by the president to potentially replace Federal Reserve Chair Powell.
Oh.
Now, here's what's happening. This guy is smart.
Yeah.
And has publicly stepped up his criticism of the central bank's policy in recent months. As you know, the president really doesn't like Powell.
Right.
And listen, I have talked to some of the great economists in our country and even professors of economics at universities. Yeah. All of them say Powell is and continues to be the worst chairman of the Reserve we've ever had.
Oh, wow. All right.
And it seems to be highly political. Okay. So I don't know. President Trump is trying to force him out through criticism. If you can neutralize the guy by ruining his reputation, then sooner or later he gets out.
Yeah.
But he's one of these. It's one of those positions you're in and you can't be fired from.
Well, I was going to ask, is the Fed chair just like permanent? How does that work?
It's a term.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
but once you're in, nobody has any recourse on it?
I don't. From what look, if it could have been done, it would have been done.
Okay, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, but it could be that Treasury Secretary Bessent will be So when you're already getting your replacement named and you're being bashed in the press, that's a bad day. You may want to go fishing
and not come back.
Yeah, you may want to. I don't know. You have to have the heart of an octopus, right? Or
hearts of an octopus. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, more and more pushback of the Democratic nominee for mayor in the city of New York, Zoran Mondani.
Yeah.
This guy is really interesting. Oof. Now, think about this. President Trump has called him a communist. He's a self-proclaimed socialist, okay? And he wants to tax people. And the mayor doesn't have the authority to tax anything.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
And I don't know where this is going. So anyway, a very liberal Democrat representative, Laura Gillen in New York, it looks like he's even fallen apart in his own party. And here's what she had to say.
He ran a campaign based on a bunch of promises, free everything, without any real economic plan to pay for it other than raising taxes. We are facing a cost of living crisis. It is hard for families to get by. By raising taxes, you are not lowering costs. In fact, you're just passing them on to other folks. New York City is the economic engine that drives our state, and we need to make sure New York City thrives. We've already seen a mass exodus of businesses and people leaving New York State. Raising taxes will only cause more people to flee and crater the economy of our city. He ran this campaign with all these promises about all these things that he was going to do, and most of the things that he promised to do, he actually cannot do legally. And the things that he can do, he's grossly underestimated the costs by tens of billions of dollars.
Okay, so he's falling apart even within his own party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's something to consider. I think we get our terms mixed up.
Okay.
Okay. Socialist has primarily to deal with economics. Communist has to do with governance.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you be a socialist communist?
Yes, and can you avoid communism as a socialist? Because it's a slippery slope from one to another.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So I think we need to understand. So when the president's calling him a communist, it's governance. In other words, he wants to govern everything, rule everything, tell everybody what to do, and bring them under the thumb. And he does it under the disguise of giving everything away free.
Right.
That is a communist governance plot to get control.
Yeah.
They're very good at it.
Right.
And socialism is part of that, but socialism also is a mindset where the government should take care of everybody from birth to grave, and then they actually tell you when you can be born and when you can die. So kind of keep those in mind. But this guy apparently is both.
Yeah, and interesting, he wants to set up like city grocery stores where people go.
Yeah.
Who pays for all this?
Well, see, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But look, we are pretty dumb in America.
Oh, boy. Yeah, give me free stuff.
Yeah, California elected Newsom twice.
Absolutely, yeah. Good point.
Okay. All right, here's another one for you. Remember, we're only about 4 days away from what was an unbelievable event in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yes.
It'll be the anniversary of when President Trump's attempted assassination occurred. Here we are a year later. He's president of the United States, 6 months into his new term. And a lot of criticism about Secret Service.
Yep.
Well, 6 have been suspended for conduct during the assassination attempt. Okay. Now, the only thing I can say is it's amazing to me that this isn't still more in the news. This president has had 2 attempts on his life.
Right. Yes.
So we're coming up to the 1-year anniversary of this. It is, look, there is no question. You could hate President Trump's guts. I get that.
Right.
But there is absolutely no misunderstanding that God spared his life. You're talking split seconds of him turning his head. Okay, well, apparently there was plenty of warning, the way they handled it. People were yelling, there's a guy on the roof.
Yes.
I mean, this whole thing is going on, and so 6 have been suspended. Now, apparently, this shows you how politics works.
Okay.
They can't really fire them yet. So what do? They're suspended them without pay, and they're going to bring them back in lesser position and responsible areas of the Secret Service. Maybe they wash the beast.
Well, maybe they go guard Joe Biden.
Well, there you go. It won't be hard because he's asleep in the room.
He's asleep at the wheel.
No, but I mean, I don't know if they go out and wash Marine One and wash Air Force. I don't know what they do, but 6 have been suspended, and the good part of this is they didn't let it go. They're actually still trying to clean up the agency.
Yeah.
So isn't that amazing?
It is.
It's hard to believe it's been a year. Wow.
I know. We were thinking about that the other day, and what an event. I mean, it may have been a crucial event in the election of Donald Trump.
I think that was the day he won.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, because...
and especially how he responded to it.
He comes swinging. And people who have interviewed him, I wish I could interview him. It'd be great. I'd like to go. Man, I'd pick up and go back there. And if I had 10 minutes with him,
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
But the interesting thing about it is that everybody that I've talked to that has interviewed the president post Butler, Pennsylvania, says he is a changed man. Now, look, he may not meet your definition of a human being.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
You get shot at and survive. Yeah. See how you think.
Yeah. No kidding. Okay. Yes.
All right. Do we have anything to eat today? You didn't name anything.
I didn't name anything to eat. There's nothing to eat, is there? Alice, did I miss anything? I don't think so.
Okay.
So we can make it up.
No. We have the Trail Babes.
Oh.
It's over there in the refrigerator right over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have some breakfast burritos. I don't even know if there's any left. That crew in there, they could be gone.
Oh.
Okay, they have 3 before they go on the air.
Well, we got to keep them fueled up.
We'll go look.
All right.
The Dove has an unexpected expense. Our video switcher must be replaced. It's an important device and will cost $47,500. Will you prayerfully consider helping with this expense? Thank you for partnering with the Dove.
Looking for the perfect RV adventure?
Team Toner's got you covered from homes to Homes on Wheels.
Discover unbeatable deals only at American RV in Southern Oregon.
July is Wild About Wildlife Month, and it's a wild night every Wednesday. With kids' tickets half off at Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions. Every Wednesday, it's a wild river experience with exciting jet boat spins and dinner at the Hellgate River Lodge. Plus, kids get their own adventure pack and a chance to meet real animal ambassadors from Wildlife Images. Get on board for a night of wildlife and adventure with the Ultimate Kids Night. Call now to book. Some restrictions apply. Visit hellgate.com for details.
Where big ideas grow.
She was crying, and I could hear, sirens in the background and a lot of commotion. And she told me that they had found Max at the bottom of the swimming pool. I remember just crying out to God.
The only thing I could do was pray. So I dropped on my knees and I said, God, can you help my little brother? Can you just save him? Can you put your guardian angels around him, Lord?
Thursday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV.
Morning to you. Happy Thursday, better known as Friday Eve. Good morning. A little bit cooler from 2 days ago. Yep. A little warmer from yesterday.
Yeah.
So kind of in there, low mid 80s, upper 80s. Yeah. All right. Again, back to the some regional news. The big storm that came through southern Oregon a couple of days ago sparked 72 wildfires, varying in sizes across Jackson and Josephine County and in Siskiyou County in Northern California. One of the biggest one is the Neal Creek fire just south of Ashland, and there's other fires just on the other side of the border here. It was quite a storm, and it caused a lot of fires. But I want to say something. I have never, ever, there's been an attitude change about how they're handling this now. Yeah. And I just want to say to all of the agencies involved, from the ground crew to the trucks and everything in the air crew, I don't know who is coordinating this and collaborating these agencies together, but boy, they're doing a wonderful job. And early this morning, walked outside here. In fact, you can go out there right now. There are 3 DC-10s parked out there. There are 3 what they call the Avaro RJ-85s. These are high-wing 4-engine jets. I guess they're British-made. We have 3 MB-80s out there. We have 2 King Airs, 2 King Airs and a there's another one across the street, across the airport here, and Aero Commander, and then they have 1 Hercules. We've never seen this kind of firefighting air arsenal sitting on our tarmac out here.
And they were flying late last night.
They were flying right up to dark.
Yeah.
They're just hammering it, and I just want to say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. This is we no longer talk and manage and plot.
Yeah, they
get into plane and start flying and tell us where to go.
Right. We always used to ask, why aren't they on these? Why don't they get on them sooner? And now they are.
They are. So thank you guys. But boy, what a sight outside our door here. Now this is another story. You kind of go, really? How's this going to work? The IRS has made a decision.
On what? Oh, this makes me nervous.
So you just emphasized it right there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The president yesterday praised the IRS for its decision to allow churches to endorse political candidates.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is good news and bad news.
Yes.
Okay. He goes on to say that he loves the churches can now make political endorsements. Okay, now here's the caution. Be careful here, churches. Not that you shouldn't mention things, okay, but don't let politics replace your theology.
Yeah.
Because I think absolute moral authority is disappearing in America because we want to have a little of each. The scripture says a little leaven ruins the whole lump. Now, this is a result of the Johnson Amendment. President Johnson, he was pretty ticked off, and so he went after the Christian community that they wouldn't vote against him.
Yeah, because they were speaking out against him, right?
Yeah, so he came up with the Johnson Amendment. And so it ended up being obviously a free speech thing, and now it looks like the IRS. Now, I have to say this cautiously. I don't know what this means. I'd like to see this codified in some kind of a legislation.
Yeah.
But to say that there's going to be the IRS policy, that's a little slippery for me.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway,
the IRS, they kind of blow in the direction of the wind of the current administration.
It could flip, so it needs to be codified. But I look, I understand this. I mean, we've placed some pastors on here that are pretty blunt about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's okay. Everybody to their own conviction. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying be careful. But my main concern for this is because a lot of churches have been taken over socially. And what goes out the door is absolute biblical truth and morality.
Yeah.
And the question is this, just a rhetorical question. Do you believe in absolute biblical morality?
Yeah, that's a huge question, yes.
And what does that mean? Take every moral question that's in our culture, run it through the filter of Scripture, and ask yourself, where do you stand? Now, we have figured out a way to take a little grace and a little legalism and coexist. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, be careful out there. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. This is what Jerry's trying to tell you.
There's a lot of clear out there.
Yeah, severe clear, warming up. Be careful, hot and dry.
Yeah, hot and dry, and looking at 90s and then upper 90s by the weekend. It's going to warm up. All right. Well, we're looking at this mayoral candidate in New York City. And, of course, we know that for some folks, he might be a very attractive candidate because people love to have freebies. hippies. Give me the stuff. Well, in an interview with Spectre TV, Victor Davis Hanson looks into the background of New York mayoral hopeful Zoran Mamdani, and this he's looking at what his target audience is attracted to.
He went to a private exclusive school. He must have believed in the meritocratic system, which he now denounces because he competitively placed into one of the most exclusive public schools equivalent to a private school in New York that very few people, 1%, get into. His mother has been very successful as a filmmaker. His father was given every opportunity of fellowships as a student and DEI consideration, and he's a prominent Middle East scholar. So he's a child of privilege. He's never really found himself employment or career-wise. He was a rapper for a while. He was an activist for a while. He ran for a local office for a while. And all that can be said about him is that he is as charismatic or as outgoing or as sociable, say, as Barack Obama. And I think people in that subset of the electorate, the left-wing base, the urban base, the metrosexual base, the single professional urbanite, they all still dream of that type of joy or excitement about an Obama-like character without really worrying about his actual positions or his actual personal hypocrisies and paradoxes and contradiction.
All right, we'll see. You know, it's one thing he may do that will help everything.
What?
See who he attracts. Who's going to come out and support him?
Right. Yeah.
That have notoriety. AOC's already there.
Oh yeah.
Will Chuck Schumer be there?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
I mean, Chuck Schumer, senator from New York, is he going to be there?
He's Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is he going to be there?
I don't know. We know that Bernie's there, but Bernie's not even Democrat.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a look and see break.
All over my life, all over my life.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekalo on the Dove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekalo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
No one that should or want to run for president will end up running for president.
Be in the know with Sekalo on the Dove TV.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. 25 minutes before the hour, and well, things are still pretty anxious over in Israel. It looks like Israel and Hamas, well, maybe that little ceasefire is over.
Yeah.
Let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
We begin with Israel's war against Hamas and the efforts for a temporary ceasefire. Israeli warplanes are still launching devastating attacks in Gaza, striking 180 targets in just a day. Meanwhile, in Washington, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is involved in ceasefire talks and meeting with top U.S. officials, including the Secretary of Defense. And there are new signs Israel's confrontation with Iran may not be over. Chuck Holton brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Huge smoke plumes rose over Gaza City overnight after intense Israeli airstrikes, even as a sixth round of ceasefire talks played out in Qatar. The IDF says it's targeting Hamas positions and tunnel infrastructure, while negotiators attempt to broker a deal for hostages and a possible end to the war. Regional outlets report that Israel may be weighing a partial withdrawal from certain areas in Gaza, but Hamas remains firm. No deal without a full Israeli pullout and a permanent halt to hostilities.
We have still to finish the job in Gaza, release all our hostages, eliminate and destroy Hamas's military and governance capabilities, because Gaza must have a different future for our sake, for everyone's sake.
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much. But there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
Still in Washington, Netanyahu said rumors of friction with the U.S. are false, and that coordination with the Trump administration is both deliberate and strong.
This doesn't involve pressure, doesn't involve coercion, it involves full coordination. President Trump wants a deal, but not at any price. I want a deal, but not at any price.
A senior government official for Israel told reporters that a deal is expected within 1 to 2 weeks and includes the release of hostages. At the Pentagon, Netanyahu met with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, praising recent joint U.S.-Israel airstrikes on Iran, calling them the roar of two lions. But that roar may not be over. Intelligence sources say Iran is repositioning missile systems, reinforcing air defenses, and may be working to recover enriched uranium from previously targeted nuclear sites. With that in mind, some believe Israel could launch another strike on Iran soon if diplomatic efforts fail to stop the buildup. Meanwhile, the IDF has confirmed ground operations are now underway in southern Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah strongholds. The group has entered high alert status and begun mobilizing fighters in anticipation of a broader conflict. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is here with us again in Virginia Beach. Chris, good to see you and be back.
Good to see you again.
So, how is a peace deal possible when Hamas is demanding a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, which Israel won't accept?
Yeah, well, from the very beginning, Gary, that seems to be the thing that really is messing up any potential negotiations, because Hamas refuses to give up their weapons, and the fact that they would remain in the Gaza Strip, they could rearm, retool, and maybe launch another October 7th. So the insistence that the war has to end by Hamas and that they can keep their arms just seems to be the major sticking point, something Israel won't allow.
Well, they're the ones who started it, right? Hamas. Yeah. So it sounds like Netanyahu and Trump are on the same page when they both say they want a deal, but not at any price, Chris. Will the U.S. try to stop Israel from keeping up its attacks on Hamas in order to get a deal?
Well, it seemed that before the Netanyahu visit to Washington that there might be a lot of pressure by the Trump administration to make sure that there's a deal. And we know that President Trump is the deal maker. He wants a deal. As we saw in Chuck's report, he said maybe the end of this week, maybe next week. Earlier in the week, he was saying probably by the end of this week. So the timetable seems to be moving. And I think perhaps he's recognizing that it's a very difficult, a heavy lift for Israel, excuse me, to not only defeat Hamas and continue to push them out of more and more places in Gaza, but also to release the hostages. And so this is a very, very difficult military operation by the IDF inside Gaza while trying to protect civilians there in Gaza itself.
Wow. We'll have to wait and see how, but it seems things are moving forward, and that ceasefire is not holding.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see how it goes. Let's check out the weather where the guy holds on to a lot.
A look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with daytime high temperatures in the upper 70s for Vancouver and Portland and low 80s in Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with decreasing clouds, gradually becoming sunny with daytime highs near 83 for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 85 in Eugene, with lows tonight in the mid-upper 50s. More sunshine today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s in Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny but cooler with daytime highs in the upper 80s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny and breezy with highs in the low 70s around Coos Bay, 61 in Brookings and near 67 in Port Orford and Crescent City, California, with a northwest wind gusting up to 39 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with some smoky haze for the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 88 in Ashland and Klamath Falls, with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Into northern California with sunshine and daytime highs in the low 90s in Wairika, sunny and hot with highs near 105 in Redding, 103 in Chico, and near 101 in Sacramento with a west wind around 5 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Santa Rosa and Napa, sunny in San Francisco with a high near 72 and a light southwest wind, and today in San Jose, sunny and near 90. It's a snapshot of your Thursday weather thanks to Grange Co-op.
All right, there we go, folks. This is the top of Mount Ashland. For those watching on the Dove Radio, we're seeing kind of an air inversion. It's pushing the smoke down at low elevations. But bottom line is we still have some fires out there. Mm-hmm. And you can see this moving. So this is just south of the border. And hopefully they continue to address these today.
Yeah.
But, boy, we were hit with lightning and fires all over the place. So pray for these guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's amazing some of the things that we survived growing up. We grew up in a much different world than we live in today, and some of us grew up in a day and an age where cars didn't even have seat belts.
Well, we didn't have seat belts or padded dashes.
That's right. And we rode in the back of pickup trucks.
We all rode in the back of a station wagon.
That's right.
We jumped around and had parties back there.
And I learned how to reach to stay out of my mom's, swing reach, her swing radius.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, when it comes to seat belts and driving without them, that all changed on this day in history.
On July 10, 1962, the U.S. Patent Office granted Swedish engineer Nils Bohlin a patent for his groundbreaking invention, the three-point seatbelt, designed for use in vehicles, especially road vehicles. Bohlin had joined Volvo just 4 years earlier, coming from Sweden's aviation industry. At the time, seatbelts were mostly used by race car drivers, and the older two-point design often caused serious injuries during crashes. Within a year, Bohlin created a safer solution, a three-point belt that secured both the upper and lower body with a single, easy-to-use buckle. Volvo debuted the design in 1959 and, recognizing its life-saving potential, made it freely available to other car makers. By 1968, seatbelts became mandatory in all new U.S. vehicles. While improvements have been made since, the basic structure remains Bohlin's. His invention is estimated to reduce the risk of death or serious injury in crashes by about 50%, making it one of the most important safety innovations in automotive history.
Click it or ticket. I love those signs. Click it or ticket. But most people these days do click it, I think.
All right, so when they come in with the three-point thing, then they came in where you could adjust it on the side, which was really a big deal because sometimes they were way up here and it crossed you like that.
Oh, yeah.
So now they have it so, you can move it up and down a little bit.
Right. The other thing you have to get used to once in a while is because, there's give in the three-point seatbelt. It'll retract and it'll give as you lean forward. If I'm leaning to the radio too quickly to change the station, it stops me.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, slow down.
That's the Lord telling us that. Don't switch that down. Okay, well, listen, have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Jerry Minor?
No.
Well, he's going to be in the studio with me a little bit later on.
Okay.
With you and I. We're going to Skype him in.
All right.
Okay. And I figured out who he is.
Oh, who is he?
He's your wannabe.
No, Jerry.
No, you want to be him.
Okay.
Here he is.
All right.
My kids got the dog they wanted. You guys got dogs? Who's got dogs? Yeah? Yeah? What kind of dog you got there in the second row there? What do you got? Aussie Doodle. Is a fun dog? Yeah. My son is allergic, so we had to think about a different kind of dog, and people kept saying, get a poodle. Like, how? What? That's not just suggesting a dog. That is suggesting an entire lifestyle change. It's like a poodle, and you got to get French lessons. Got to learn how to tango. Cooking, no thank you. I don't want a poodle. I do like the big American Standard poodles. The ones that always win the dog shows. Those dogs are cool. Those are hunting dogs. Did you know that? Hunting poodles. Come on. You got to be pretty secure in your masculinity to bring a poodle hunting. Just show up with a sweater tied around your neck. Come on, fuzzball. Let's go do some shooting. So many different ways to get a dog now, you know. Our neighbor got one, so I asked him. I said, hey, where'd you get that dog? Well, we adopted him. Well, I'm sorry. I thought he was your biological dog. You know what the worst thing is about adopting a dog? Someday you're going to have to tell him. It's a hard conversation. It's a hard conversation to have. Well, you ever hear this one? Hey, where'd you get that dog? Oh, we rescued him. What? We rescued him from the doggy rescue. What are you, a Navy SEAL?
Have you told your dogs?
No, they have no clue. They think they're biological.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, we're not telling them.
So you haven't had that moment?
No, they're wondering why they don't look alike, but you know.
Oh, well. Does it really care or matter? No.
Actually, no.
No, okay.
Just feed me.
Okay, well, we'll be right back.
All right.
I don't wanna miss what you have for me. Singing, oh, Lord, show me what matters. Throw away what I'm chasing after.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in, we weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
All right, good morning to you. 11 minutes before the top of the hour. Well, Elon Musk is in the news, but not the way you would think he would be. Going from pro-Trump to almost anti-Trump within the matter of weeks. Yeah. And now he's threatening to start his own third party. You kind of wonder, what in the world are you thinking? Is he just a spoiled little rich kid not getting his way?
Maybe.
Okay, I've always, well, I won't go there.
Okay.
Anyway, so he was, Scott Jennings from the Institute of Politics at Harvard, now of all places, Harvard, talking about this. And Harvard, Scott is on CNN talking to Dana Bash.
Okay.
I mean, here we are in the heartbeat of liberalism.
Yeah.
And Scott is saying, this could backfire. Here's what he said.
And it looks to start a political party, and we'll see where they go with it. My humble advice to Elon, who I admire very much actually, is that you may be dividing the forces of people who want to save Western civilization to the benefit of the people who don't. And so to the extent that this effort would divide conservatives and Republicans against each other, that would be helpful, because it would leave the country to people who want unfettered immigration, who don't share your fiscal views, and so on and so forth. So we'll see where it goes. I sort of hope everybody puts the band back together the way they had it back in 2024, because when everybody was working together, things worked quite well.
I'm just curious, if they're on the side of Western civilization, what's the other civilization that people want?
Not Western civilization.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. I think people. Terrible. I think civilization.
Values, not Western civilization.
I think there are a lot.
Okay, so I think what he was trying to, he realized where he was.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't come out and say that if we elect Elon Musk, or could actually, excuse me, if Elon Musk does his third party, that it will almost guarantee the election back to liberals.
Absolutely.
He didn't want to say that there, because he was also saying that's the wrong thing to do. So it's kind of an interesting, sounds like he was a little bit on the conservative side.
Yeah.
Trying to say don't do this, but he's also in the audience of real extreme liberals, and they kind of push back on him. So anyway, bottom line is, I think that Elon Musk is making a huge mistake by starting a third party. You have to ask the question why, and he's trying to do it in noble reasoning, like I really am going to save America. I am really the truth detector of all things here. Well, no, you're not. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you got a lot of money and you're a smart guy. Why don't you just stick to business?
Yeah. Right. Well, and Tesla's kind of struggling right now too. He might need to put some attention on that.
Well, look, and he may have done that to himself. Because,
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. I think that was the cost of Doge.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think he did a great job with all of that.
Well, I think Doge and his Trump support cost him that. Yeah.
Well, Trump came out on the new big deal and said no more credits for EVs.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
Was that the breaking point for Elon Musk?
It had to be.
Okay.
I think that was a bottom line deal.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, we've looked at renditions of the national anthem. We've seen some that are questionable. Who comes to mind? Roseanne Barr. Remember Roseanne Barr?
Oh,
she sang the national anthem. It was terrible. She spit, So we love to hear great renditions of our national anthem, and there is none better than this, which stunned fans before a baseball game at Royal Stadium.
1, 2. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star
How they get the Jets to time it perfectly over the stadium when they're winding down the anthem.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness, that was
sends
good.
Chills down.
Yeah, the whole stadium erupted on that one. They just loved it. It was called the Haywoods. They're a cappella group, and Royal fans, but that was just wonderful.
Are they all Americans?
Yeah, I
mean, why haven't we heard from them? These guys are unbelievable.
They're great. And so, we need to have them come sing a national anthem for us. Yeah.
Man, that is absolutely
Good
beautiful.
stuff.
All right, coming up, John O'Connor's always great to have him around. Former federal prosecutor. He knows the law, and we'll talk to John about a lot of things. In particular, now with the wayward judge again doing an injunction against the president after the Supreme Court says don't do this.
You know what? Pam brought a great point up. She goes, wait a minute, who's more powerful, this wayward judge or the Supreme Court?
Well, duh.
Well, come on.
I don't know.
What's going on?
I don't know. All right, hold on to your seat here, because I'm going to have Todd Friel in.
All right, Todd.
And I have to tell you that the subject's a little on the adult side.
What are you talking about?
Because it is. I interviewed George Barna yesterday.
Okay.
And we recorded it, and we're going to play it back.
Oh, okay.
So Dr. Barna and I have actually become somewhat friendly, and we talk together on the phone and stuff. And don't get me wrong, he's not my bud, but we're buds, okay?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this problem, and that is the secret cancer in the church regarding men.
What?
What do you think it is?
I don't know. Masculinity?
Pornography. Okay, it's huge. Okay, so it's a sensitive topic. We're going to talk about it because it needs to be brought to the surface.
Okay.
All right, take with this scripture with it. Colossians, that's one of my favorite books. Colossians 4:2. Continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving. Boy, that'll preach. All right, we'll be right back.
The Sherms Market Jackson County Fair is back, y'all, and it's fun for the whole herd. We've got thrilling rides at the carnival, mouth-watering food, amazing 4-H and FFA exhibits, and non-stop entertainment. Jackson County Farm Bureau presents Ag Ventures. Plus, kids 12 and under get in free thanks to the West Family Foundation. The Jackson County Fair. It's fun for the whole herd. Get your tickets now at theexpo.com.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Since 1983, over 21,000 interviews. It's quite a feat by one person. The Dove's Perry Atkinson. Tap into his experience and knowledge right here, only on the Dove TV. The Dove has an unexpected expense. Our video switcher must be replaced. Will you prayerfully consider helping to replace this important equipment? Thank you for partnering with the Dove.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, and with Jerry Bilden.
Yeah, good morning.
And I'm his designated driver.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. I'm like his Uber guy.
Yeah, just keep us in between the lines. All right.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Thursday, better known as Friday Eve. We are a few degrees on the warmer side today, but still very pleasant. It is seasonal. And a lot going on in the news. I don't know when there's not, but here we go into another beautiful day. What's up?
Yeah, well, it is National Chronic Disease Day. This is not to spread chronic diseases. This is to spread awareness of chronic diseases, to educate and advocate for people who live with chronic health conditions every single day, hoping that raising awareness can provide support to anyone suffering from chronic diseases. And, you know, there are a lot of chronic conditions people have to deal with every single day, but it seems to become a little bit more common as we age.
Oh.
It's one of those things. It's one of the, I'm not going to say it's a benefit. It's one of the, one of the circumstances of aging, I think. A lot of times you wake up, you know, when you're young, you get out of bed and something hurts. You can remember why it hurts. You know, you remember what you did yesterday that did it. Now you get up and you think, what's that all about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does it not hurt?
When does it? When I'm not moving. That's it. Okay. This National Kitten Day. And, you know, if you have kitty cats, you know, you love them. There are some folks who aren't so fond of cats, I guess. But, you know, they have their place.
Yeah. They do.
I'm not going to mention any.
Under a dog.
I should have. You know, my cats trained my dogs. My cats grew up with the dogs, so they kind of think they're dogs. We lost one of the kitty cats, so we have one left right now. But he just kind of rules the roost with the dogs. And they're big, mean dogs, too. But they think, you know, this cat's got some power.
Yeah.
But anyway.
A cat can be pretty defensive.
I wish I'd written a Clara Hugh poem about my cat today, because it is National Clara Hugh Poem Day. A Clara Hugh poem has some rules to it to be a Clara Hugh poem. It has to have 4 lines, rhyming couplets of A and BP, a person's name in the first line, something said about that person, and then humor, because Clara Hugh poems are meant to be a funny poem. So I have put together 2 Clara Hugh poems.
Okay.
The first is, Albert Einstein, quite the sage, made physics cool at every age. His hair was wild, his thoughts profound. He turned the universe upside down. And I have one on Jonah. Jonah tried to run away, but found himself in disarray. A giant fish became his ride. 3 long days he stayed inside. That's my Clara Hugh exercise for the day.
Did you write those?
Yeah, well, no.
Okay.
I have to be honest.
That's got to be an assignment in English class.
I had some help.
English lit.
And you know what? You know what some kids might do in English lit? What I did there. Chat.
Oh, yeah, well. Gosh, how do you do this?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
All right, a couple fun facts. First of all, we know that a group of seagulls together is called a flock of seagulls, right?
Okay.
And a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. That's
really
cool. A flamboyance. I wonder how that came about. Science fun fact. Octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood. 2 hearts pump blood to the gills and 1 to the rest of the body. And finally, there is truly a town in Norway that is named Hell. And in winter, it actually freezes over. It's the truth. In Norway.
So hell does freeze over.
Land of my ancestors. Yeah, it freezes over in Norway every winter. So stay away.
How many how many residents it has.
Oh, that's a great question.
You want hell on your poster?
I need a clear.
Gary Building, 1234 A Street, hell.
I need a Clara Hugh poem about it. Okay, I'm going to get it.
Okay, well, speaking of flamboyance.
A look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with daytime high temperatures in the upper 70s for Vancouver and Portland and low 80s in Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with decreasing clouds, gradually becoming sunny with daytime highs near 83 for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 85 in Eugene, with lows tonight in the mid-upper 50s. More sunshine today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s in Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny but cooler with daytime highs in the upper 80s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny and breezy with highs in the low 70s around Coos Bay, 61 in Brookings and near 67 in Port Orford and Crescent City, California, with a northwest wind gusting up to 39 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with some smoky haze for the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 88 in Ashland and Klamath Falls with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Into northern California with sunshine and daytime highs in the low 90s in Wairika, sunny and hot with highs near 105 in Redding, 103 in Chico, and near 101 in Sacramento with a west wind around 5 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 72 and a light southwest wind. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 90. It's a snapshot of your Thursday weather thanks to Grange Co-op.
All right, there's a picture of our valley this morning. That's off the top of Mount Ashland. And you can see we have a little bit of an air inversion keeping the smoke just south of us down low. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about this earlier, but they're still fighting a lot of fires in and around our area. And that air inversion does create some problems in fighting fires. We can talk about that a little bit later on.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, we look at a lot of news throughout the course of the day. It seems like news cycles are endless these days. And sometimes it's a struggle because in the middle of a lot of bad news, you scratch your head and you think, where is the hope? Well, Ann Graham Lotz is here, and she says, now is the time to share the hope of Jesus.
It's time to watch and it's time to work. Jesus said in verse 45, "Who then is the faithful, wise servant whom the master has put in charge of the servants of his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns." It's time to work for Jesus. And to me, personally, when he says it's good for us to give them their food at the proper time, and it's God's word that's the food. This is the bread of life. And he's saying it would be good for you if you go home and you open your home and you have a Bible study, or you take the scriptures to work and you can take a verse or something and just share it with your coworker. What you learned this weekend. Teach your children in Sunday school instead of all those little pamphlets. Teach the word. If you're a preacher, a pastor, preach the word. This is the time to work for him. It's day. And while the world is melting down, people are afraid. And maybe somebody whose heart has been hardened would be willing to listen to you now because they're afraid, they're unsettled, they feel the oppression, they feel the stuff that's going on, they don't know what it is. Maybe now they'll listen to you when you tell them that in the midst of everything that's happening, they can have peace. They can have joy that's not in their circumstances. They can have hope for the future. They can have a reason to get up in the morning. And his name is Jesus.
Amen. Yep.
Pretty passionate. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm lining up a show that I want to deal with, has to do with pastor burnout.
Pastor burnout? Okay. Who's that?
That's not a person, it's a situation.
Okay.
It's a condition.
All right. Well, yeah.
You know, maybe we ought to change our names to Burnout. Gary Burnout.
Trying to avoid it, man.
The point being is, rhetorical question to pastors. Have you lost the passion?
Oh, yeah.
No. Yeah. Could be burnout. All right. Let's take a look at some of the top stories this morning. And there's some interesting ones out there. first of all, I don't know how this came about, but apparently there's quite the critic of the United States and Israel inside the UN, and our own Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is calling for the sanctioning of this person. I'm not sure what sanctioning means by the Secretary of State to a member of the UN, but it could mean that they can't travel within the United States or do something like that.
Yeah.
But imposing sanctions on Francisca Albanese, which is a controversial UN, what they call Special Rapporteur of Palestinian Rights. And this lady has called for the United States and Israel officials to be brought before the International Criminal Court. Now, the ICC is whoever formed the ICC, whoever gave it authority, and what authority does it really have?
Yeah.
So she's running around saying the United States and Israel, all the officials need to be called into the ICC. Well, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, stepped in and said, we're sanctioning her. I don't even know what that means, but apparently it means enough where he stuck his nose in it.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So, as you know, President Trump has certainly not been a friend and a supporter of the current Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell. And in fact, other people have said that Jerome Powell has been the worst Federal Reserve Chair we've ever had. I've had quite a few people on during Focus Today talking about that. Even people who were professors at economics say he just mismanaged it. He missed opportunity. When to up the rates, when to down the rates. Well, anyway, in the meantime, on the list to replace him is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. So he's one of the several candidates reportedly being considered by the president to replace Powell. Here's the problem. Powell has a term that he can't be fired from. So President Trump is trying to criticize him out of office and now naming people of his possible replacement. Well, he just nullifies them by doing this.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, will Powell step out?
It's a great question.
Now, and do you want Bessent to be the next chairman? The guy seems to be pretty sharp.
He does, yeah.
But there's a lot of concern about the central bank and all of these things that thing and the power that it has, and why are do we need the Feds? I mean, that's another thing. It's kind of like, do we need the UN? Nope.
Yeah.
Do we really need the Feds? Nope.
Right, yeah.
Do we need the
right.
WHO?
Yeah.
No.
Does the political background of the person who becomes the Fed chair ever come into play during this?
Sure.
So what is the current status of Powell? Or do we know?
Oh, well, he's left to left.
It seems to be, yeah.
So he's been there. He's been in and out of that position a couple of times. But the only thing I can say, it's time for a change. The president wants the interest rates to coincide with his big, beautiful bill, and he wants those interest rates low. There's a lot of controversy whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not an economist. I can't comment one way or the other. But the president, in his demeanor, will continue to demeanor the chairman.
Let me ask you this. Everything has been so politicized these days that we see it from these district judges who are doing basically anything they can to get in the way of the Trump agenda. Does that happen on the Federal Reserve Board as well? Do people play politics and try to hope for bad things for the current administration?
Look, the answer is it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But the real answer is it is. Because at the end of the day, it is a political appointment when the term comes up. So whoever is president usually selects somebody from their philosophy to serve in that capacity. But I know smart people, even on the left, to say that this guy he was late raising rates and he's late lowering rates, and so he needs to just go away.
He's late.
He's late, and he's late to be retired out. So.
Yeah, very good.
All right. So in the meantime, we have some really interesting things going on with this potential Zoran Mondani. He is the Democrat nominee to become mayor of the city of New York, and it has created unbelievable controversy. And Jewish Democrat lawmakers are now starting to criticize him on Capitol Hill. But one of the New York state reps, a Democrat, says this is not good, and here's what she had to say.
He ran a campaign based on a bunch of promises, free everything, without any real economic plan to pay for it other than raising taxes. We are facing a cost of living crisis. It is hard for families to get by. By raising taxes, you are not lowering costs. In fact, you're just passing them on to other folks. New York City is the economic engine that drives our state, and we need to make sure New York City thrives. We've already seen a mass exodus of businesses and people leaving New York State. Raising taxes will only cause more people to flee and crater the economy of our city. He ran this campaign with all these promises about all these things that he was going to do, and most of the things that he promised to do, he actually cannot do legally. And the things that he can do, he's grossly underestimated the costs by tens of billions of dollars.
Okay, so does a mayor have the power to raise taxes?
Well, I don't know. Are there any city taxes that a mayor controls?
You know, you'd have to look at the charter of the city. I don't know.
Yeah, because I can't imagine that he does.
Well, I don't know, but look, this is a war on words. I'm not sure if we got to be careful here. What's the socialist? What's the communist?
Yeah,
the president's called him a communist,
right?
Which deals with governance.
Yeah.
And socialism primarily deals with economics, but you could have a mixture of the two. And when you hear these two, he seems to be a communist. In other words, he wants to control everything by giving everything away.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll have another comment on who he is a little bit later. But look, he's not. It's not going well. It's kind of like he snuck in, got the nomination, and people are going, "Whoop! How'd that happen?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does Adams stay in place because he left the Democrats, became an independent? So does he become the worst of the two evils, or the lesser of the two?
The lesser of the two. Yeah, and you know, the more that he's been under scrutiny by the last administration and Justice Department, I think the more attractive he has looked to a lot of people in the middle.
Well, he's reached out for some. He's reached out.
Yeah.
To try to get along with some people. So.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that the president will get involved in this local politic issue and weigh in on it with his opinion?
He's already done that. He's called him a communist.
Right.
And he also said that if it actually becomes a socialist communist city,
right,
that the federal government has the power to step in. I have no idea what that means.
Okay. Now, we know who he doesn't like. Will we know who he likes? Or will he just abstain? And I bet you there are a bunch of people that wish that he, or hopes that he stays away from
I will say one thing about President Trump. I think he genuinely loves New York.
Yeah, I think he does too, yeah.
I think he really wants New York to be restored.
Where he's from, that's, he's native New York.
And look what he's done for that city.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't.
And you know, I heard a good point about it.
I think we ought to write your name in.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. But I heard a good point yesterday about Donald Trump. A guy was talking about his financial background and talking about the fact that he was a real estate developer. And he said, but this guy is different. He's not a financial developer. He's a boots on the ground builder. So he's used to dealing with construction companies, unions, a guy on the street. He can talk to the guys at the building site and make sense. So it kind of sets him up a little different than just one of these big financial institution people that's all theory. He's got it in practice.
Well, we've never seen a blue-collar billionaire wear a hard hat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, and a tool belt.
All right.
I'd have called Tim up. All right, well, we're only about 4 days away from the 1-year anniversary of what happened at Butler, Pennsylvania, when President Trump's life was almost lost. The attempted assassination of the president. It's hard to believe it's been a year, and it's coming up on July 13th, which is Sunday. So in the meantime, they continue to investigate this whole thing. Well, they just suspended 6 U.S. service agents have been suspended for the conduct during the assassination attempt of the president on July 13th there in Butler, Pennsylvania. When they looked through all of this and realized this whole thing was just full of problems.
Yeah.
And so they didn't fire them. I don't know if they can or can't fire them. So what they did was they suspended them without pay. That is the penalty. Okay. And then they're going to bring them back in lower positions, in less responsible positions. I don't know if they'll be responsible for washing the beast. doing traffic control
maybe
outside the White House. I don't know, but it's pretty bad. And I'm glad that they realized that there was a lot of things that fell through the cracks on this.
Is it going to be publicized who these people are?
Pardon?
Will it be publicized? Will we know who they are?
I think you will in time because information gets out.
All right.
But look, I'm glad they did it. I mean, you can't have these things and just kind of go away because it happened 2 weeks ago or a year ago.
Yeah, and do you think there'll be an explanation written behind each name as to why they were suspended? Will we know, the reasoning?
That I don't know.
I wonder.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But 6 of them, not quite the pink paper, but almost.
Yeah, almost. I think so.
All right. Well, we're going to pink sleep our way out of here. We'll be right back.
Real simple, bring everything right back to ground zero. 'Cause it all comes down to this. Love God and love people.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Looking for an all-inclusive experience? Take an unforgettable ride along the wild and scenic Rogue River with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning Rogue River scenery, and incredible wildlife. Then, kick back and relax with our all-you-can-eat brunch or dinner at the Hellgate River Lodge. Whether it's family fun, a weekend with friends, or a romantic trip for two, Hellgate makes it easy to turn a wild ride into a local's vacation. Book your adventure now at hellgate.com. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
All right, 22 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. And some regional news, primarily our own backyard. When we had the big storm come through here at the first of the week, it sparked 72 wildfires. 72. And we still have quite a few out there that are burning in quite intensity. Some just right in south part of Jackson County. The big fire is the Butler Fire, which is just south of us here, there in Northern California. It's up to 3,615 acres. The Summit Fire is 229 acres. And so they're still fighting these. And that storm sparked 72 fires around the region. A lot of them are under control. A lot they're fighting. So this morning early, I came in and I walked around the building. And I have to tell you, folks, I've never seen this, ever. Parked outside our door, right behind me, and Jerry and I right now, is 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 DC-10s, 3 what they call Avros, which are aviation, I'm trying to think of the name there. Anyway, they're a British-made jet. They're 4-engine high-wing jets, firefighters. They have 3 MB-80s parked out here, 2 King Airs. They have the Aero Commander, and they have 1 Hercules. These are all aircraft fight fires. They're all sitting right outside the door here. Amazing. And I would imagine they'll start flying here shortly. And they were flying right up till dark last night. So, again, I want to say, finally, the collaboration of the various agencies that pull this off is absolutely remarkable. Not to mention the people on the ground crews fighting all of this.
Yeah.
And the equipment and everything else like that, and water trucks and bulldozers and all this. I mean, they are on these fires like crazy.
Have we ever seen 3 DC-10s here?
Never.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk out there and you think you're looking at LAX this morning.
I know.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know who's pulling the strings and who's calling the shots, but boy, they're on it.
Yes, they are.
So, but the Butler fire is the big one, and there's several just south of us here, and that's why the smoke and what they call the air inversion is keeping the smoke low.
Yeah.
And I think they wait for that air inversion to change before they start flying this morning. But
okay.
All right, here's another story that's kind of interesting. It kind of comes with mixed reviews, but President Trump yesterday praised the IRS. The eternal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, for its decision to allow churches to endorse political candidates. Now, the problem with this is an internal decision by the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it's not codified in law.
Yeah.
It's just policy, so it could change. Okay, we'll see what happens. Good news and bad news. And so my problem with this is that churches that are not true to theology will end up being political hotspots.
Right. Good point. Yep.
And pastors that don't have real control of themselves might say the wrong thing and offend a lot of people. Church is not about politics. Church is about God.
Right.
The Bible clearly talks about politics and morality and things like that in public policy. So be careful with this. It's good news and it's bad news. It's all against the Johnson Amendment when President Johnson put this into effect. But it's just a policy within the agency. It's not codified in law. And I think that has to happen. Otherwise, it'll change again.
Yeah. Do you think most pastors will stay away from this entirely?
I hope not.
Okay.
Now, there's a way to do this.
All right. How?
Okay. Well, you got to find the balance. You can stay. You can deal with social issues all day long from the pulpit, and you should.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can identify people, and you should. I would stay away from endorsements.
Okay.
Okay. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Okay. But I remember when I was running for Congress, and I was speaking at a church in Baker City, and the pastor wanted me to do the Sunday morning sermon. I go, I'm a candidate. You want me to?
You want me to preach?
Yeah. Well, he knew I was ordained, so he said, "Well, we want you to go out there and do this." And I said, "Well, okay." I get up there, so I give a little homily, and at the end of the sermon, he comes up and he puts his arm around me. He says, "Now, look, I know as a minister of the gospel and an ordained minister in this denomination, I can't tell you how to vote,
right?
But I can tell you how I'm going to vote."
All right.
And he put his arm around me.
Oh, cool.
So I just would hope we find the proper balance in all of this, because it can get out of control.
Yeah.
But it's not codified law. We still have to get rid of the Johnson Amendment. It's just a policy within the agency that under another administration that could swing the other way.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So much for that. Let's take a look at Wall Street for Thursday morning. Thank you, Preston, at Smart Lawn. He's smart. So will you if you get his lawn. The Dow's up 54. NAS is down almost 100, and S&P down 10.5. So kind of mixed bag at the ringing of the bell this morning. Who knows? Gold back up to 33.25. Silver right at 37, and crude oil 66.48. I would say that's pretty much even.
Yeah.
So.
Well, after the last election cycle, there were a lot of folks wondering if maybe the Democrat Party had learned some lessons in their failures in the last election cycle. And I think a lot of people were hoping that they would. And then comes along Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah, what an interesting thing.
Yeah, yes, socialist, or as the president would call him, a communist. Well, Victor Davis Hanson joined Spectre TV's Freddie Gray, and he talks about Mamdani and trying to hide things that he has said in the past, especially things that are anti-Semitic.
That he does not want to give a 20, 30, 40-minute comprehensive speech because he gets into all of these past things that he's said and advocated. And he's advocated socialism, he's advocated free transit, he's advocated basically non-profit grocery stores in New York open to the people. He's talked about in racial terms even more than class terms. And these statements in the past haunt him because he's such a contradiction. He's such a hypocrite. Because he is one of the 1% in the United States, and he's one of the beneficiaries of capitalism. He's one of the beneficiaries of a kind and welcoming the United States that looks toward favorably people like that, who parents were talented. They wanted to come to the United States. They were fast-tracked with green cards. They got citizenship. They were given scholarships. They didn't have to pay for their education. They found that being Indian in a 68% white country was an advantage, not a disadvantage under the DEI. So I think that's why he does not give speeches. He does not outline positions, because it's neo-socialist, if not communist or Marxist. And he's got a whole corpus of past statements that he's always trying to contextualize now. And he can't, when he says globalize the Intifada, and he says he's not going to retract it, and he says it doesn't mean what it means. And almost 90% of the people who say that are talking about bringing the war all over the world, and that means demonizing what we saw in Britain the other day with the rock stars that were talking about kill the IDF and all of that stuff. That's what it is. It's spreading the hatred of Israel and by association perhaps Jews all over the world, and that's what his father does. That's what people at Columbia University do, and he does. But it doesn't sound well to most people, so he's going to keep that quiet. And yet he can't renounce it because he's being backed by AOC, the Squad, Al Sharpton, the whole cast of characters we associate with lunatic New Yorkers.
So this is a classic example. Do the churches in New York speak out against him?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And survive.
Yeah.
So will he ever go into a debate?
I wonder.
Will he ever give news conferences and interviews? I mean, what Victor Hansen is saying there is that his own worst enemy may be himself, allowing himself to be interviewed too deep in who he really is.
Yes.
So he may have to just stay away from it.
And we saw a shift in the last campaign cycle, namely, especially both not only President Trump but J.D. Vance went into long format podcast interviews with guys like Joe Rogan, where they spent literally hours in a studio discussing their policies, their beliefs, and it really helped them. This guy's doing the opposite. He's avoiding it, and you ask a great question. Will he dare debate anybody?
Well, let me ask you this little quick question. How did he win the nominee?
That's a great question. Yeah.
I mean, where did he come from?
Yeah.
How come they didn't get him on the radar when he filed?
Right.
Did they ever think he was going to win? And all of a sudden, but look at the circumstances. Nobody else ran because of the mix-up with Adams leaving the Democratic Party and going independent. It left a wide open thing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It's messy.
It is messy, and it's telling. It's interesting to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah. Go to Costco and get the ice cream bars.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
The cynical find faith, and love is breaking through where the Father's in the room.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. Nah. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in, we weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn you something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Every weeknight covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom. Tony is president of the FRC and your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital. Weeknights on theDove TV.
Hi, good morning. 25 minutes before the hour. Let's check in with CBN News Watch and get caught up what's going on in the Middle East.
This is CBN News Watch.
We begin with Israel's war against Hamas and the efforts for a temporary ceasefire. Israeli warplanes are still launching devastating attacks in Gaza, striking 180 targets in just a day. Meanwhile, in Washington, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is involved in ceasefire talks and meeting with top U.S. officials, including the Secretary of Defense. And there are new signs Israel's confrontation with Iran may not be over. Chuck Holton brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Huge smoke plumes rose over Gaza City overnight after intense Israeli airstrikes, even as a sixth round of ceasefire talks played out in Qatar. The IDF says it's targeting Hamas positions and tunnel infrastructure, while negotiators attempt to broker a deal for hostages and a possible end to the war. Regional outlets report that Israel may be weighing a partial withdrawal from certain areas in Gaza, but Hamas remains firm. No deal without a full Israeli pullout and a permanent halt to hostilities.
We have still to finish the job in Gaza, release all our hostages, eliminate and destroy Hamas's military and governance capabilities, because Gaza must have a different future for our sake, for everyone's sake.
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much, but there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
Still in Washington, Netanyahu said rumors of friction with the U.S. are false, and that coordination with the Trump administration is both deliberate and strong.
This doesn't involve pressure, doesn't involve coercion, it involves full coordination. President Trump wants a deal, but not at any price. I want a deal, but not at any price.
A senior government official for Israel told reporters that a deal is expected within 1 to 2 weeks and includes the release of hostages. At the Pentagon, Netanyahu met with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, praising recent joint U.S.-Israel airstrikes on Iran, calling them the roar of two lions. But that roar may not be over. Intelligence sources say Iran is repositioning missile systems, reinforcing air defenses, and may be working to recover enriched uranium from previously targeted nuclear sites. With that in mind, some believe Israel could launch another strike on Iran soon if diplomatic efforts fail to stop the buildup. Meanwhile, the IDF has confirmed ground operations are now underway in southern Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah strongholds. The group has entered high alert status and begun mobilizing fighters in anticipation of a broader conflict. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is here with us again in Virginia Beach. Chris, good to see you and be
good
back
to see you again.
So, How is a peace deal possible when Hamas is demanding a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, which Israel won't accept?
Yeah, well, from the very beginning, Gary, that seems to be the thing that really is messing up any potential negotiations, because Hamas refuses to give up their weapons, and the fact that they would remain in the Gaza Strip, they could rearm, retool, and maybe launch another October 7th. So the insistence that the war has to end by Hamas and that they can keep their arms just seems to be the major sticking point, something Israel won't allow.
Well, they're the ones who started it, right? Hamas. Yeah. So it sounds like Netanyahu and Trump are on the same page when they both say they want a deal, but not at any price, Chris. Will the U.S. try to stop Israel from keeping up its attacks on Hamas in order to get a deal?
Well, it seemed that before the Netanyahu visit to Washington that there might be a lot of pressure by the Trump administration to make sure that there's a deal. And we know that President Trump is the deal maker. He wants a deal. As we saw in Chuck's report, he said maybe the end of this week, maybe next week. Earlier in the week, he was saying probably by the end of this week. So the timetable seems to be moving. And I think perhaps he's recognizing that it's a very difficult, a heavy lift for Israel, excuse me, to not only defeat Hamas and continue to push them out of more and more places in Gaza, but also to release the hostages. And so this is a very, very difficult military operation by the IDF inside Gaza while trying to protect civilians there in Gaza itself.
Okay, a lot on the plate there. Mm-hmm. All right, good morning to you. 20 minutes before the hour, let's check in with what do they call the flamboyance.
A look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with daytime high temperatures in the upper 70s for Vancouver and Portland and low 80s in Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with decreasing clouds, gradually becoming sunny with daytime highs near 83 for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, and near 85 in Eugene, with lows tonight in the mid-upper 50s. More sunshine today across the central Oregon high desert with daytime highs in the mid-80s for Prineville and low 80s in Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny but cooler with daytime highs in the upper 80s. Along the Oregon coast, becoming sunny and breezy with highs in the low 70s around Coos Bay, 61 in Brookings and near 67 in Port Orford and Crescent City, California, with a northwest wind gusting up to 39 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with some smoky haze for the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 88 in Ashland and Klamath Falls with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Into northern California with sunshine and daytime highs in the low 90s in Wairika, sunny and hot with highs near 105 in Redding, 103 in Chico, and near 101 in Sacramento with a west wind around 5 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny with daytime high temperatures in the low 90s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Sunny in San Francisco with a high near 72 and a light southwest wind. And today in San Jose, sunny and near 90. It's a snapshot of your Thursday weather thanks to Grange Co-op.
And there's a picture coming off the top of Mount Ashland if you're watching on the Dove radio this morning. We have a little bit of an air inversion keeping the smoke down. A lot of that's coming from the Butler fire to the south of us here, just in Northern California, which is up to 3,600 acres. Mm-hmm. So it's quite serious, and we've quite the air arsenal outside our door here to fight fires. So be careful out there. Well, listen, Jerry, I think we have found your replacement.
Okay.
I could be included in that.
Boy,
one of the comments that I get from people emailing us about the morning show, that you and I were too corny.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's valid.
It's valid.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to have us. We're Skyping him in this morning. In fact, he's going to be at your church coming up on Saturday. Jerry Minor, he's a comedian who will be at the Trail Christian Fellowship coming up on the Saturday. At 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Their special get-together out there at Trail Christian Fellowship. There he is. Hey, the other Jerry.
Makes it easy. Makes it easy.
How are you? Where are you? Where are we Skyping you in from?
My basement in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, so you're a West Coaster. Well, good for you. Good to see you. Welcome to Southern Oregon. This is where it happens. Just want you to know.
I can see that. I didn't get the memo for the sport coat, no tie, white shirt. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to wear.
No, you're fine. Hey, question. How did you get into comedy? Why are you doing this? Why don't you get a real job?
Wow. I'm going to throw it over back to weather. Chase put on a jacket.
Yeah.
How did I get into it?
Yeah.
I believe it was work release as what was the options for me. No, I always was funny at school. I had some friends who got into stand-up, and so I got a job at a comedy club, working as a doorman, taking tickets, seating people. And after about a year, I worked up enough nerve to get up there on stage, and I did an amateur night, and it went well, I guess. I don't, and I just kept doing it, and got kind of lucky all along the way, and here I am.
That's wonderful. The other thing is, Scripture says a little laughter is good for the heart. I'm glad to see you take this into the faith community. This is really good. Tell us a little bit about you doing that with churches.
Well, the first half of my career was in Hollywood, so I did about 25 national TV appearances, HBO, Comedy Central, all of the networks, ESPN, and then about a few years after that, a friend of mine started buying old movie theaters and bringing in family-friendly live comedy shows. And he said, hey, why don't you write a one-man show? So I had no idea what that looked like. But along the way, some pastors came in and happened to be people in the audience. And one approached me and said, hey, you should come do it at our church. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know, and it turns out because I'm not super, in a comedy show, I'm not going to go up there and try to make fun of the faith or draw Bible passages in like, oh, the funny thing about, Isaiah chapter 48. I just do my same act. I work clean. But along the way, you start to see that as a Christian, we are compelled to look at the world differently. So, I can't go for the easy joke, the dirty joke, the mean joke, the unkind joke. I have to look differently. And you're probably thinking, what's left after all that? Right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm bald. I could talk about that, so that gives me a couple minutes of laughter. Yeah. But churches have still not figured out how to use comedy the best. What Eagle Point down at Trail Christian is doing is a step in the direction, I think, of inviting your community in, which is fantastic. People just want to know that we're not weird, that we can laugh at ourselves. We can laugh at the same stuff. We're not walking around the community with a notepad judging everything. Oh, I see that guy. I'll be, we're just broken people. It's a room full of broken people who have the grace of God, and they're just trying to live their lives out. Those are Christians. Those aren't people judging. Those are just people that are trying to walk towards the faith,
Hey, Jerry, I got a question for you. I'm sorry, off topic. This is the other Jerry here. Over your left shoulder, I see a jersey from the Great One.
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky. Tell me your hockey connection and Wayne Gretzky. What's that all about?
Well, when I was I grew up in Southern California. So my career, I knew everybody and worked with everybody that was on the way up. They respected me as a writer and a comedian. And a really good friend of mine is a guy named Kevin Pollak, who's been in about 100 movies. And so I had season tickets to the LA Kings when Gretzky was there years ago.
Cool.
And when I was doing my one-man show at this theater in Tulsa, my birthday comes around and Kevin calls me up and says, hey, I was at this silent auction last night. I got you a birthday present. I'm sending it out, So it shows up at the theater, and it's a signed Gretzky jersey, which was very nice. Every time I see it, I think of Kevin. In Philippians, it talks about I thank my God daily for you in my prayers. And I pray for Kevin all the time, because he's not someone who's saved, but definitely is someone that is in my world, and I want to keep praying for.
How did you develop a taste for hockey? Did you play? I mean, you have all your teeth.
Well, I like to fight. No, I don't. It was something different. I couldn't afford tickets to see the Lakers, and baseball is 162 games. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I bought 2 tickets because I thought that my dad would come with me because he liked hockey, but he only went to 1 game in about 7 years. So most of the time I had an empty seat next to me, but I just enjoyed it. It was a good release, you know?
All right, well, yeah, we all like Gretzky, so it's a cool jersey.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete against 2 Jerrys, but I have one more question for you, Jerry. Is it true you duck hunt with a standard poodle?
Well, he has been replaced with a real dog. It was very embarrassing, very, very hard. He gave it a go, and God bless him. But between the sweaters and the bows, and we had to wear the bright shoes. We would get a duck, but it would be, too hard to get it. We'd have to send a separate dog to get it. It was too much.
Okay. All right, let me say to friends, check out, Jerry's going to be in town coming up this Saturday at Trail Christian Fellowship, and it'll be from 5:30 to 8.
All right.
All are invited, and check it out. Should be a comedy and music for an evening of fun and entertainment. And,
Meet a friend.
Meet a friend. And it is a gorgeous setup. Check it out. The website is trail.org. Thanks, Jerry. Welcome to the area when you get here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great
Oh, there you go. Boy, I've been boxed in by Jerry's. Okay.
I love it.
We'll be right back.
I can't wait.
Will you prayerfully consider helping the Dove with, quite frankly, an unexpected expense? We have to replace our main switcher here at the Dove TV. Now, we weren't expecting that or budgeted for it, but the manufacturer now no longer supports this unit. To replace it's about $47,500. So we're asking you to prayerfully consider supporting us and only do what the Lord is leading you to do. Feel free to give us a call or go online. And please know that together, we really are changing lives for good.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Good morning, about 8 minutes before the top of the hour. Welcome back to Mornings on the Dove. Well, a lot of us grew up in a day and an age where cars didn't even have seat belts, and some of us survived, but that all changed on this day in history.
On July 10, 1962, the U.S. Patent Office granted Swedish engineer Nils Bohlin a patent for his groundbreaking invention, the three-point seat belt, designed for use in vehicles, especially road vehicles. Bohlin had joined Volvo just 4 years earlier, coming from Sweden's aviation industry. At the time, seat belts were mostly used by race car drivers, and the older two-point design often caused serious injuries during crashes. Within a year, Bohlin created a safer solution, a three-point belt that secured both the upper and lower body with a single, easy-to-use buckle. Volvo debuted the design in 1959 and, recognizing its life-saving potential, made it freely available to other car makers. By 1968, seatbelts became mandatory in all new U.S. vehicles. While improvements have been made since, the basic structure remains Bohlin's. His invention is estimated to reduce the risk of death or serious injury in crashes by about 50%, making it one of the most important safety innovations in automotive history.
Click it or ticket.
Yeah, and they've augmented that with beeping noises in your car.
Yes!
That will not stop until you click it.
You are right.
So there was a period where if you didn't click, you didn't get ticked.
Yeah.
But not anymore. They got this thing in there dinging you to death. You know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now for guys that work in and out of their pickups, this is really crazy. You know.
Yes, but we've all been trained pretty good. We really have. It's hard to roll down the road these days without clicking in. And, these days and age, you don't want to be scrutinized by the law enforcement. Click your seatbelt. I like to watch a lot of cop shows.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many times they pull guys over, real criminals, because they didn't have their seatbelt on.
And catch them.
And they catch them. I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
All right.
Well, anyway, click it or get a ticket.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we'd love to hear great renditions of the national anthem. This one is over the top.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Put goosebumps on your goosebumps.
Well, I tell you what, that was so well choreographed.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's the Haywoods, an a cappella group, and just brought the house down in Royal Stadium in Kansas City.
They ought to just do that as a living.
Yeah.
Go around to big games and just do that.
Yes. And, we all want to join in on the national anthem, and sometimes it's harder than others, but that's an easy one. Oh, man.
All right, stick around. Got some great interviews coming up. John O'Connor will be with me in just a moment. But Colossians chapter 4, verse 2. Colossians, one of my favorite books. Continued steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving. There's a picture. Look.
Oh, yeah.
That's DC-10.
Yeah.
That's out our back door. Where'd you guys find that shit?
It's gotta start right now. Lord, start right
The Sherms Market Jackson County Fair is back and bigger than ever. Rock out July 17th with legendary band Kansas, playing all the classics, Carry On Wayward Son, Dust in the Wind, and more, presented by People's Bank. Then on July 18th, it's Skillet Live. Hear hits like Awake and Comatose from the multi-platinum, Grammy-nominated hard rock band. The Jackson County Fair is the place to be this summer. Fun for the whole herd. Get your tickets now at theexpo.com.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Cliff Connectley travels across America to give an answer to questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
So one of the reasons I believe that God exists.
Join him for Give Me an Answer, weekdays on the Dove TV.
She was crying, and I could hear, sirens in the background and a lot of commotion. And she told me that they had found Max at the bottom of the swimming pool. I remember just crying out to God.
The only thing I could do was pray. So I dropped on my knees and I said, God, can you help my little brother? Can you just save him? Can you put your guardian angels around him, Lord?
Thursday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV. The Dove has an unexpected expense. Our video switcher must be replaced. Will you prayerfully consider helping to replace this important equipment? Thank you for partnering with the Dove. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Washington Watch, thanks so much for joining us.
Bringing you up close to newsmakers, members of Congress, and prominent pro-family leaders from across the nation.
That's just the tip of the iceberg of the threats and the dangers that children are facing online.
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council, a former state legislature, ordained minister, police officer, and veteran of the Marine Corps.
Terrorism experts are sounding the alarm.
And welcome to the Washington Watch News Desk.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
Well, this is a state issue. The federal government shouldn't be forcing these states.
Don't miss Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights at 6, only on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I'm always delighted and quite frankly honored when we have time to spend together with John O'Connor, former federal prosecutor, experienced trial lawyer, author of a couple of books, Postgate, and How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat and Covered Up Watergate and began what we call today's partisan advocacy journalism. He has also served as an assistant U.S. attorney in Northern California, representing the United States in both criminal and civil issues and cases. He does have a website, and that's called postgatebook.com, and that's where you can go to his website and check out the book and the sequel to it, The Mysteries of Watergate, both available there at postgatebook.com. John, as always, good to see you, friend. How are you?
Great.
Good to see you. Well, are you surprised about the investigation of John Brennan and James Comey?
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised that it's happening. I'm not surprised at all that someone thinks that they're guilty of perjury, false statement, obstruction of justice in connection with Russiagate. And my only question is, and I'm one of the reasons I'm excited about this, is that obviously John Ratcliffe, who made the referral from the CIA, believes that there's a hook that gets you past the statute of limitations problem. I know there's one statement that, so let me back up. Clearly, the two of them, Comey and Brennan, were really the creators of Russiagate. I mean, Hillary Clinton originally came up with the idea and so forth, but it wouldn't have gone anyplace without those two. And in terms of official government work, Hillary initially made up the whole canard as a way of convincing the Democratic constituency that she had not screwed Bernie Sanders with the DNC, that it must have been the Russians who were hacking the DNC, and it wasn't her that was really trying to cheat Bernie Sanders. It was the Russians interfering. But then this thing became serious when Comey and Brennan decided to opportunistically jump on it, probably so that they could become even higher in the firmament of Hillary's universe, and great things were going to happen to them. And then, of course, things didn't work out. Trump got elected. And then they kept going and tried to destabilize Trump. So all these things, the whole idea of getting FISA warrants and so forth, that all occurred based upon false statements to a court. But the problem is that happened in 2016 and 2017. Okay. So how do you jump to today? You do have testimony by Brennan in 2023 that he did not urge that the ridiculous Steele dossier be part of the assessment, the intelligence community assessment in the transition between Obama and Trump. And it was that assessment to which the Steele dossier was appended, and which then Clapper then leaked to MSNBC, and then BuzzFeed ended up scooping MSNBC and publishing the dossier. But nonetheless, the whole idea was to try to get these scurrilous allegations from the Steele dossier, which they all knew were phony, into the public. So you had both lies to government agencies, specifically the FISA court. You had lies to them. At the same time, you're really spreading false and defamatory information, and then creating government investigations regarding that false and defamatory information. So how do you get, so it's a long-winded way, Perry, of saying, how do you get from 2017 to 2023? Well, Brennan swore that he had nothing to do with the Steele dossier being attached to the intelligence assessment, which then started the whole thing, ball rolling publicly. Whereas we do have emails of Brennan back then which say, yes, we must attach it. It's appropriate to attach it. We have to attach it. So he lied about that. Now, how you get Comey, I don't know. If he's part of a conspiracy, and you can prove a conspiracy, you can go back 20 years if the conspiracy was still ongoing within the last 6 years. So I think that's what the art is going to be. How do you hook in past misdeeds to the present? One could be this 2023 testimony of Brennan, which could be at least a conspiratorial act. And if that's an act that you can connect to the prior acts, then you can hook all the prior acts into an indictment today. So I hope that's not too long-winded, but that's the challenge, is to try to get all these past lies into the present tense.
Okay, so this does generate a couple of questions. The first one is, why do you announce an investigation? I mean, shouldn't that be a little bit secretive?
Well, first of all, it was leaked. Now, maybe it was an intentional leak. Okay. But I suspect that they would only leak it if they thought there was intentionally leak if they thought there really wasn't a good shot at getting an indictment. And somebody may be trying to dirty Comey and Brennan. They deserve it. But our prosecution system should not do that. I mean, very frankly, the prosecutors should be very careful about doing any of this. I think this is maybe it might be a bit dirty when people are leaking this stuff, and if it's done intentionally to to get people talking about them, which we're doing right now, and we're examining it. And, this is a big deal for Trump. Even his Mar-a-Lago indictment was spurred by the fact that Biden was trying to withhold Russiagate information from him, and that's why Trump was reluctant to give up his documents. So Trump has been on a mission on Russiagate because listen, this was terrible. Think about it. The president, a candidate for president, later the president was accused of being a treasonous Russian spy. I mean, how much worse an allegation could you have? And yet it was completely phony. It was floated by two of our two main intelligence agencies. I mean, and the Justice Department. Think how terrible that is. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine, that Trump is upset. Now, that said, Durham couldn't get him for various reasons that are technical here, the system did not get him before. And, these guys know their stuff. They know how to be criminals.
Okay, so neither one of these, Brennan or Comey, neither one of them received immunity charge or immunities from the former president, did they?
I don't believe they did.
Okay, so it would seem to me whether the statutes of limitations stick or there is a little bit of an ambiguity here that brings it up to 2023. Isn't the end game two things? One, to expose what really happened, and two, really to ruin these guys' reputation and career?
Well, I suppose so. I think that's what I say about that leak, the leaks recently, which you're not going to find a person that's more sickened by their conduct than I am. I'm fully aware of everything they did, at least that's knowable, and I have nothing but disdain for both of them. But at the same time, I do not think it is fair that these leaks come out if they're intentional leaks and if the idea is to ruin them. I think they should be ruined, but I think if they're ruined, it should be done the right way.
Okay.
And a lot of this, and again, in our democratic society, a lot of this is about telling the public a story. And I suppose in some way you can justify this by saying, look, it's very important that we learn the lessons of history. And just as we may all talk about a war that shouldn't have been fought or should have been fought a different way, I suppose we need to drum into the populace what really happened here. I'm not sure people know. The Mueller report comes out, and all the Mueller report says is, okay, Trump's not guilty, but gosh, maybe he obstructed on 12 occasions, and let's talk about what a terrible guy he is. The problem is turnabout is normally thought to be fair play. I don't think it is. Okay. Just because they did something wrong, I don't think the conservative people should do something wrong.
It's been rumored, I'll put that word in there, that the reason for the leak of the investigation was a cover-up of the story of Epstein's not releasing so-called blacklist or the list, that one story kind of countered the other for a day in the headlines.
Well, it certainly did. It certainly had its effect, but the Epstein issue is there, and it's a very stubborn problem because most people are just not buying the fact that there's nothing there. So that could have been it. Okay. That could have been it, but that could have been the motive.
I want to come back to that little area of statute of limitations. Do you think there is real opportunity to get Brennan for his 2023 speech or talk?
Yes, I do. I think it may well be just a single rifle shot for that one piece of testimony. And I think it would be fair game to indict him for that. From what I've seen, there's an email out there that's so emphatic that Brennan was urging that be attached, that the Steele dossier be attached. And that's such an important fact. That's not an insignificant fact. And also all the circumstantial evidence is such that Brennan was out there trumpeting this thing. He, for instance, told a lot of false things to Harry Reid, the senator who loved to then take them and put them in a public letter trying to get election points for Hillary and against Trump. Brennan was politicking with this. He was telling lies to favored members of Congress. So I don't have any sympathy for him and what he was doing. And I think there's enough for an indictment. Now, what can he say? Gee, I forgot when I testified in 23, I forgot what I said in 2016. You know, it's going to be a hard case to make. And if you bring it in, I suppose he testified in D.C., so it's going to be hard to get a jury that's going to convict him. But I do think that's a fair charge to bring, even if you're only bringing it knowing that you probably are not going to get a conviction. I think that's fair to do because I think it's pretty clear he's guilty of that. Okay.
If they do go down that road and they call him in for that area of testimony, doesn't that automatically pull Comey into it because he would have to be some kind of the link in creating the evidence of what Brennan did?
Brennan was a great creator of evidence too, by the way, and he had a lot to do with this, with the whole Russiagate thing. The two of them were working hand in glove, and as a matter of fact, there was a joint commission that had been started, I think, as early as late 2015, one of these task force type things. So Brennan was creating a lot of the stuff. He was trying to help Hillary out quite a bit, but nonetheless. The problem with Comey has been, number one, do you have any late testimony like Brennan has, recent testimony? Brennan's within the statute of limitations in his 2023 testimony. Is there anything that drags Comey into that? Now, again, you've got conspiracy, but did Comey conspire with him as to that particular false testimony? There's got to be more. Now, Ratcliffe may have that. And now, also, Perry, I don't know if you and I talked about this before, but there recently has been discovered this super confidential tranche of information called prohibited access, in which the FBI had this trove of information that their information system did not even mention. So the system mentioned all classified and confidential information and would list it. Oh, this is confidential, this is classified, but you can't see it. But there was a trove of information beyond that called prohibited access where no one knew that there was this stuff that they didn't know. So people didn't know what they didn't know, and that's just recently been uncovered. Now, it's not clear that John Durham got prohibited access documents because the whole idea was to hide them from people, like from prying eyes. No one would know that there's this secret hiding place of documents. So it may well be that there are documents in prohibited access that now Kash Patel knows of that might shine some more light on Comey than Durham had in his investigation. So there is the possibility that Comey could be held in somehow in some sort of a conspiracy.
Okay. Let me take a quick break. Check out John's website, postgatebook.com, where you can also check out both the books there, Postgate, which is an amazing story, very applicable to today, and then The Mysteries of Watergate, What Really Happened, which kind of interesting today. These series of crimes just seem to happen generation to generation. Check it out. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Aligning your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Late for church. I'm pushing it a little bit. And the guy in front of me is dogging it. And then you get maybe a little too close. So you're trying to push him a little bit. I got to get there. And you get to the church parking lot and they turn in front of you. So you watch which way they go when they go in the
you go to the
parking
other,
lot, you go the other way. And Pam says, I told you not to do that. Yeah. Okay. And she was right.
Hi, welcome back, and honored always to have with us John O'Connor, former federal prosecutor and also served as a U.S. attorney in Northern California there as a representing the United States in both criminal and civil cases. He's one of the great legal minds of our day, and I always am honored when we have time to spend with him. John, I do want to come to the sensitive topic of what's really going on from your perspective with the Epstein file case. And let me kind of set up my thinking, and then you can take it from there. But it appears, people are upset that there's no client list. But it looks like Attorney General Bondi did get more information than was previously released. But is there still more information to be had that she doesn't have? They did come up with the fact, let me put it this way. They came up with the conclusion that he did commit suicide in the prison. Question is, how does that happen? But it did. Some sect he was murdered. How that could happen, who knows? And the other one is, why isn't there a list? So what's your take on this thing?
Well, I'm not sure that somebody in Epstein's position would necessarily have a list. Here are all the people I'm extorting and so forth. He may have had some sort of files, and maybe that's what Pam Bondi was referring to, some sort of files. But it's not clear that a guy like this, would let me put it this way, would necessarily have those files that could be discoverable when he got into all his trouble. Ghislaine Maxwell was still around when he got in trouble. And I can't believe that she did not hide incriminating documents or destroy incriminating documents. I think there's probably a trove of videos and so forth and so on that we'll never see, that those are lost to posterity. So that's the real question is how much was lost. Here's another issue here, Perry, that I'd like to bring up. Obviously, Epstein was involved a lot in extortion. I think that's one of the ways he got wealthy. Now, that said, we're now tied into something that goes back to well before Watergate, which is the CIA is basically in that business. And there's a strong rumor that Epstein was a CIA asset or CIA source. And that's quite believable because remember, the CIA is precisely in the business of extorting people based upon sexual machinations. Now, you can't get better than not only extramarital affairs, but those with younger women and who knows what other bizarre stuff was going on there. So I question whether or not national security was an issue that bothered Bongino and Kash Patel when they sort of showed up tight-lipped the other day and said, "There's nothing to see here." There may be a lot going on below the surface here, and there, of course, nobody's going to tell us, "Gee, we're withholding this from you because it's national security." If there is a national security component to this, it explains everything, is what I would say.
Okay. Because the other thing is that's an angle I haven't heard, and it makes total sense. What about flight logs? Wouldn't they still be an issue?
I think there's plenty of there should be evidence such as flight logs. I mean, we should know who went over there. I can't believe that. Now, it would be reasonable to believe that once Epstein got in the headlights here, that all sorts of people started destroying things. So we can't count that out. People destroy things. That's all. Okay. It's just the way of the world. Let me ask I don't. Yeah.
Let me ask you one other question, John, on this. I don't want to dwell too much here, but you bring up something that's very interesting. If, in fact, national security risk are involved in further exposure of this case, why can't that be given to the public?
Well, because it's a source and method of the CIA. It really isn't that there's a national security concern so much as it is there were national security operations here. Some of them may not have been successful, but nonetheless, you don't want to expose the fact that the CIA is out there extorting people. Yeah. And, remember this, another thing that's beautiful about Epstein's Island. The CIA can do anything it wants outside the United States.
Okay.
And I think it's always been a concern that the CIA has actually had operations in the United States. They had a house near me in San Francisco a little before I got there, when they were watching people, prostitutes and their johns, and the prostitutes would drug the johns while CIA spooks were behind a two-way mirror watching them and eating their popcorn. This has been going on for quite a while.
Okay.
Richard Helms had all sorts of information back in the day, but the history is also that the CIA has really been very resolute in destroying any such evidence. So if he is an asset, and it's quite believable that he would be,
okay, then
this isn't coming out.
That's a very interesting question. A couple quick questions. I'm almost out of time. The Supreme Court did give President Trump a path to go ahead and downsize federal government. He wins again. How significant is this one?
This is significant because if you think about it, if you're an executive and you can't downsize your own company, so to speak, what are we doing? Are we taking the power away from an executive? You run a company and the company's in the red, you cut people. We read headlines about this every day. Why can't we do that in government? So now there's still the question as to whether Trump's doing it the right way, so to speak. Right. And that remains to be seen. If people will be watching him like a hawk to see if he's complying with government regulations about reductions in force, which I don't know enough about. Those have changed since I used to defend these cases, but there are new regulations and civil service rules. But it's very significant.
Okay, one last quick question, and that is, as you know, the Supreme Court came down on the lower courts for getting out of bounds, and yet they continue to get out of bounds. The lower court has filed an injunction from the part of the big, beautiful bill not allowing Medicaid to pay for Planned Parenthood. This is a slap in the face as the Supreme Court. What happens here?
Well, actually nothing. Hate to say it. I mean, the only sanctioning of the lower court, and remember, the Supreme Court can't fire these guys. They're there for life. The lower courts are there for life, just as the Supremes are there for life. All you can do is slap them down verbally and say, this is terrible what you're doing, quit doing it. And that's a problem with our system. You know, you've got these judges that don't want to even, that don't feel they need to obey the Supreme Court. And Justice Jackson is saying the same thing all the time. Oh, this is an existential threat, what the court is doing. So, yeah, I mean, it's once again, it's the same story. All you can do is slap them down again.
John, you're great. Thank you, friend, for your time. You're always generous with us, and we appreciate it and value it greatly. Let's stay connected. Let me share to our viewers and listeners, check out John's website, postgatebook.com. That's where you can get the book, Postgate, and the sequel to it, The Mysteries of Watergate. Both very informative and great reading. Thank you, John. Look forward to future visits. Hang in there, buddy.
Okay, take care, man.
The Sherms Market Jackson County Fair is back, y'all, and it's fun for the whole herd. Catch country legend Jody Messina live on July 16th with hits like Heads Carolina, Tells California, and more. Then on July 19th, it's Are You Ready? A Taylor Experience, a high-energy live tribute to Taylor Swift's record-breaking tour, sponsored by Hunter Communications and Michelob Ultra. The Sherms Market Jackson County Fair. It's fun for your whole herd. Grab your tickets now at theexpo.com.
Big ideas grow.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
30 seconds or less. That's the length of a soundbite in a typical news story. If you're lucky, you can't really learn much in 30 seconds. It takes time to ask questions, learn, and explore the facts to really understand. Focus Today on the Dove TV and Radio does just that. We give you an hour covering several issues and newsmakers in depth. So don't settle for quick soundbites. Get to the heart of a story and understand better. Focus Today, weekdays on the Dove TV and Radio.
Okay, welcome back, and always a delight to have with us our good friend Todd Friel. He is the executive director of Fortis Institute and the host of Wretched TV and Radio. He's the author of quite a few books, as you well know, and the producer of over 24 Bible courses. You can go to the website, which is quite resourceful, called fortisinstitute.org. Todd and his crew are responsible for a lot of the programs you see on the Dove Television Network, and they're endless in their pursuit. And I just want to say that today's topic is a little sensitive, and you probably, if you have young people, have them find something else to do in another room. It is so sensitive, he's already fanning himself down.
Oh, sorry, these are, silly rabbit. These happen to be the cards that we want people to give away. Perry, the subject matter about which you are warning parents is a pernicious issue because it is so widespread. It is so devastating. It is the subject of pornography. Yeah. And there are hardly any young men on the planet that have not been exposed to it and, frankly, who aren't wrestling with it. So I wrote a book. It's called Play the Man. And we want people to give these cards away on university campuses. Over 300 people have already signed up to do just that. We will send these cards to you for free. That includes shipping and all. This is how difficult evangelism is, because believe me, the booklet has a law gospel presentation. Are you ready to witness to people? You just need to know one word. You ready? Here it is. You go to a campus, you see a dude walking around, and you go, here. You're done. Because they're going to click on the little barcode, and then they're going to get to this booklet. We've also got it in video form and audio form.
Wow.
And they are going to hear how they can escape the shackles of pornography.
Okay, and they get that at fortisinstitute.org, right?
/playtheman.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. All right, so Todd, as sensitive this is, it's interesting. So obviously something is occurring here. I had 3 interviews this past week, and all 3 of them, this topic came up. And it has a lot to do primarily with men struggling with this in churches, and in particular, in many cases, even pastors are struggling with this. Why do you think this ends up being the number one struggle for men?
Oh, so available. And let's be honest, this particular sin happens to be the Achilles heel of virtually every man. It is indeed every man's battle. So now, how do I get this stuff? Well, I just pull it up right here. I don't need to slink off to a store, go to the back room, smuggle out a magazine in a brown paper wrapper. No, it's just right there. It's so accessible, and it feeds into a desire that men have more than women have. And that, of course, is their sexual desire. And so it shouldn't shock us that pornography is so prevalent. But what is shocking is how prevalent it is in the church. And I think there are 2 reasons for that, Perry, starting with, and I suspect somebody ain't going to like this, but now, and also let me do a warning up front. Because the man who struggles with pornography is perpetually asking the question, am I really a Christian? And that's a fair question to ask. We'll dive into that deeper in a second. But one of the reasons so many men in churches they're enslaved to pornography is because they're not actually Christians. They don't have the power of the Holy Spirit dwelling in them, no desire for true sanctification. Their sin is merely horizontal, it's never vertical, and so they don't fight because they're not in the battle. So that's one of the reasons so many people continue to watch pornography. So now the question is, if you're thinking, whoa, is it I? Am I watching it because I'm not a Christian? Well, I think you need to do a little examination. And there's 2 types of individuals who profess to be Christians who watch pornography. See which one you might be. This one I call the battler. You are in the war. You just hate this sin, and you do everything you can. You're doing everything you can to escape because you don't want to sin against your God. When you do, it's because I've sinned against my Savior, not because you might get busted. That's the battler. And one has better evidence to believe that they are genuinely a Christian, because real Christians hate their sin. On the other hand, you've got what I call the diver. This is the dude who claims to be a Christian. He doesn't care that much. He maybe has Judas and Esau repentance. I hope my wife doesn't catch me. What if my kids find out? Could I lose my job if they see what's in my computer history? That is not biblical repentance. That is the repentance of a false convert. If you are living in willful, unrepentant sin, 1 John 2 and 3, you are of the devil. That's pretty clear. So if you are not battling, you're diving, you're swimming in a cesspool of pornographic sin, the Bible is pretty emphatic. You're not really a Christian. Which one are you?
Okay, boy, there's a lot to talk about. Some have said it is the silent sin. Is that accurate?
Sure. Because I think intrinsically we know it's a shameful thing. And there's a biblical reason for that. Go back to the garden. They were 2 naked vegetarians walking around. There was no secrets. There was no lack of trust. There was no shame. What happened? Sin entered the world. What is the first thing we see? Why? Trust is lost. And intimacy is now intended to be something that is done, always was, between a man and a wife behind closed doors. And so when we act like a peeping Tom and go looking through the window of somebody that is doing what should only be done privately with a man and a wife, courtesy of our cell phone or our computer, well, we're creepy peeping Toms. And of course you feel shameful about that because it is shameful. And so people don't want to talk about it. And I get that. But Perry, I think there's another reason so many people don't want to talk about it. I'm not sure that I've really heard anybody hit the nail on the head when it comes to what does a dude do to escape this sin once and for all. That's what we seek to do and play the man.
I do want to come to the solution and the conclusion here, but let me ask you this. At what point does it go from a sin to a sin addiction?
Yeah, if you are regularly, now what does regularly mean? But if it is something that you are continuing to return to, especially if you feel like you lack power to overcome this sin, so any regular ongoing sin would be an enslavement to sin. The language we all use is addiction. I choose to reject that particular word simply because that's a medical model. You've got an addiction. You can't help but drink alcohol. You've got an addiction. Well, that's not true. First of all, we have zero tests for that. There's no blood, there's no hair, urinalysis, MRI to determine the disease of alcohol. You're not addicted to it. You're enslaved to it. There's not a chemical in your body that says, all right, grab the keys to your car, start up the vehicle, drive to the liquor store, get a bottle of hooch, bring it back home, and drink it out of a brown paper bag. There's nothing in your... You choose to do it. You are enslaved to sin. And the same thing is true with pornography. It is your master. And here's the reason, Perry, that it continues to dominate so many men who profess the name of Jesus Christ. And if you're one of those men, just hang in there with me for just a second. The reason you watch porn is because you love it. You love it. And every guy who watches porn goes, no, I hate it. That is simply not true. You don't do what you hate. You know what I hate, Perry? I hate taking a pen and poking it in my eye. So you know what? I don't do it. But if I continued to poke a pen in my eye, it would be because I actually liked it. The same thing is true with pornography. Now, you can feel shameful and guilty and dirty when you're done. I get all of that. But that doesn't mean you hate it because you don't do things you hate. I hate food poisoning, so I don't eat undercooked chicken. If I loved food poisoning, I'm going to eat the undercooked chicken. If you didn't really love porn, you wouldn't watch it. But the reality is you love it. And that does bring us ultimately to the solution for overcoming porn.
Okay. Again, I'll go to that on the other side of break. But one more question.
Wow, you're just being like cruel.
Cruel? I'm trying to be helpful here.
Here's the solution. We'll get that later. It's like a TV tease.
Okay. Here's the big question. Put on your pastor's hat. Is watching porn adultery?
It's porneia. That's the term that Jesus used. When Jesus talked about if you look at a woman with lust, you've committed porneia in your heart. I think we all recognize there is a difference between lusting and actually living it out. There are degrees of sin. So contemplating is one level of sin. Doing is another level of sin. So what did Jesus mean? Is a man, if you're asking the question, is a dude who's enslaved to pornography committing adultery against his wife? Because then the next question, of course, is, does that mean she has grounds for divorce? I think I would be unwise to answer that question, not because I don't think I have the answer, but the answer needs to be determined based on some details that I don't possess. I don't want to make a blanket statement because you got a diver, you got a battler. How often is this dude looking at it? Is he really fighting against it? Are we seeing a decreasing in the frequency of his porn engagement? What is his attitude about it? How is he doing in other arenas of life? So I would, as an elder, want to dive into those things. But if you said, could pornography ever reach the level of adultery that would require divorce? Oh, I kind of tip that way, but I would want to speak definitively because it's a bit of a debated issue.
Isn't it the other woman?
The pornography?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. But it's a sin of the mind as opposed to the actual act. So again, we come back to the word porneia. That is what Jesus says. If you commit this, any range of sexual sin, but again, thinking, Jesus said, if you lust after a woman, you've committed adultery in your heart. But that's a little different than actually committing the actual sexual act of adultery, which is why I do think that it needs to be determined individually. But if you really press me on it, I would say, yeah, I think a dude who is willing to constantly do that to his wife is simply a man who has broken the marriage covenant.
Okay, we'll tackle the impact of this and the solution for it. Check out FortisInstitute.org is the website. That's where you go, and you can check out. There it is, and you can get the cards free. They'll send it to them. Check out all the various programs and services they provide. FortisInstitute.org. We'll be right back. Will you prayerfully consider helping the Dove with, quite frankly, an unexpected expense? We have to replace our main switcher here at the Dove TV. Now, we weren't expecting that or budgeted for it, but the manufacturer now no longer supports this unit. To replace it's about $47,500. So we're asking you to prayerfully consider supporting us and only do what the Lord is leading you to do. Feel free to give us a call or go online. And please know that together, we really are changing lives for good.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
Okay, welcome back. And Todd Friel's with us today, Executive Director of Fortis Institute and the host of Wretched TV and Radio. And his organization produces a lot of programs you see here on the Dove Television Network, which we are honored to carry them. He's the author of quite a few books and Bible studies, and he has a free resource for you. We're talking about a very delicate subject today, and that's the subject of pornography and men, especially in the church, who are hooked on this. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to transition here. I've done enough interviews in the days gone by to know that of all of the sins or addiction that one could possibly have, this is the one that's the hardest to get your mind clean from. And I remember Dr. James Dobson when he was asked by President Ronald Reagan to serve on a commission to investigate how free and accessible pornography was in our culture at that time. And he remembered him saying after he had served on that commission that he feel like that his own mind has been violated so bad that he's been robbed of something that he'll never get back.
Yeah.
It's the power, it's the one thing that a quick view stays in your mind for a long time.
Yeah.
So is there healing for this, Todd?
Oh, yeah. You know what? The Bible identifies that no sin so affects us as sexual sin. Why? Because there's something very profound that happens when a man and a woman come together. It is indeed a one flesh union. This is as intimate as it gets. You are totally exposed. You are totally vulnerable. You're having to totally trust somebody. You're coming together to not just do something pleasurable, something that might lead to procreation, but also you're doing something that is profoundly theological. I want to be careful with this because it could devolve quickly, but theologically, intimacy is really a painting of something greater. In other words, sex is the lesser thing that points to a greater thing. And what is that thing? Basically, it is this. If you think that it is pleasurable to be united with somebody of the opposite gender, wait until you are united with your Savior, not sexually. If you think it's amazing to do this, wait until you get to do that. Wait until you get to be with Jesus. In other words, intimacy is like a foretaste of how amazing it is going to be to actually be with our Savior. Okay, that's something profound. So it's procreation, it's pleasure, it's good for society, all of those things, but it's also theological. And that is why when you don't do it the right way, you're going to get scarred and you're going to get marred. And I would say this, in preparation of coming to the solution for this, I don't think that most men who watch pornography are aware of what they become. Now, they perhaps feel bad for whatever reason because they're still watching it, but sin is so sneaky. Sin lies. It is not telling you the truth. And so you need somebody to come alongside you and say, I want to hold up a mirror to you because you probably do not know how deformed pornography has made you. So this is going to hit hard, but this is not done for the sake of cruelty or mere shaming. This is done so that you can understand, what am I doing? Why am I? If you're watching porn, you are a peeping Tom. Sorry, dude, but you're creepy. You're looking through somebody's window to watch them do what your eyes are not supposed to see. That makes you, I'm sorry, a pervert. Now you go, hey, that's such harsh language. Yeah, I know. And I'm not doing it just to go, damn, look at you, loser. No, I'm not doing that. I'm saying you need to understand what you become. You're not kind. You're distant. And you're not reaching your maximum potential as an image bearer of God. You are not the man that you could and should be. You need to see that vision of yourself. But here's the next thing that you need to see, though, sir. You need to see not just a despicable version of you so that you can loathe that and wallow in that. No, you need to have a greater affection for the man that you could be. Are you familiar with Thomas Chalmers by any chance, Perry?
No.
Dead guy. He had some bad science ideas, but his writing on the expulsive power of new affections is huge. That if you currently love something and you do love your porn, you need a better alternative. If you do not have a superior monarch in waiting, you're not going to kick the current king off of his throne. You will not engage in that coup. You'll return to your former king. You've got to have a greater king. You've got to have a greater love. You've got to have a greater affection so that pornography becomes the lesser thing and something that you don't want. So here's what you need, sir. You need to loathe what you become, but you need to see what you could be. You could be the best of men. You could be like Jesus. You could be a man that is looked up to. You could be a man that is respected. You could be a man that is given so much responsibility. You could be the guy in the room. When it appears the ship is sinking, everybody looks to you like the captain. What do we do? Because you have mastery over your members. So you need to see what you become, not good, what you could be, so that you strive for that and desire that more than being a creepy peeping Tom. So I think that's one of the big steps, Perry. Understand what you become, but understand what you could be so that you desire that. That's step number one.
That's powerful. Before I run out of two, step number two?
Step number two is you need to understand who your current master is and who your master should be. In other words, you need to understand who's ruling your life now and the better alternative. So right now, you're basically being ruled by your members. You are under the influence of Satan. I didn't say you're possessed. I said you're under the influence of Satan, and he hates you. He tells you porn is good. Hey, this time it'll be really great. You'll be really happy this time. You've earned it. Lie, 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 lie. And then you go for it, and you end up like Charlie Brown, flat on your back when Lucy pulls the football away. And then he laughs at you because he hates you. He loathes you. He's an awful king. You don't need to just know how bad Satan is. You need to know how amazing the Savior is so that you desire him. Your king is good. He is benevolent. He is kind. He is strong. He is mighty. He is also meek. He's a shepherd king. That's how he's described, our shepherd king. That is the king that you should be obeying. That's the king that you should be following. Reject the lesser. See the one that you become. See the master you're serving. See what you could become and see the master who will make you that kind of a man. And you will then increasingly choose the better over the lesser. You need the expulsive power of new affections. You need to desire the better you, and you need to desire the better Savior. You start doing that, and you will start to see victory.
Beautiful. Is there a third?
Read your Bible and pray.
Okay.
Well, those are the tools that you use to see Jesus. You've got to love Jesus more. And so you got to study him, stare at him with unveiled face, listen to sermons, read your Bible, listen to great worship music, love your Savior. And increasingly as you do, you're going to choose the thing that is better. That's the expulsive power of new affections.
All right. So let me say to our viewers and listeners, Todd is carrying this even to another level. There's a little card you can get, right? Where is it?
Yeah. Here it is right here. Okay. See this? Be the man they admire. Oh, that resonates with young guys, I promise you. And enough is enough. And then on the other side, it's Play the Man. It's got the QR code. Not only will we give this to you, we'll pay for shipping. Whoa. We'll pay for shipping. Just visit fortisinstitute.org/playtheman. Order them. And I think they come in packs of 250. As many as you promise to give away, we will send to you for free, including shipping. And all you need to do is go to the campus and say, here.
There you go, fortisinstitute.org. All right, one other quick question before I run out of time, Todd. Of all the things you do, why did you take this one on?
Because it's so constant. My emails are filled with it. The young men, there are some young men whose ways are still pure. They're the exception. Every guy is battered by this. The temptation is so great. So this is going on in your youth group. I'm sorry, it is. If you're not one of those guys, well done. But I'm telling you, most of your compatriots, they are looking at porn. My email is filled with, I can't stop looking at it. Help, what do I do? My girlfriend broke up to me because my wife just left me because she found out I'm looking at these filthy images. It is the wicked sin that is pervading evangelicalism, and it is time that we get a handle on it. And not just shaming, not just blaming, not just giving tools, although a cold shower and having some sort of security on your phone, all good ideas. You need the expulsive power of new affections to drive out the lesser affection with the greater affection. That's where the power lies, in the person of Jesus Christ. You can have victory, but you need a greater love. And that, of course, is Jesus.
Okay, check it out, fortisinstitute.org, and ask for these cards to be sent to you. They'll send them out in bundles of 250. They'll pay for it all the way around. You can get it, and it becomes quite the tool. It has a QR code in there that will walk you through exactly what Todd has shared with us today. Todd, I just want to say thank you. This is, I know, a heavy, but been good.
It is, but dude, you need to know there is hope for you because there is power. You just need to tap into it.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out. your beard.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, Mrs. Friel is winning. It's getting shorter and shorter. But I'm getting more kisses.
Tell her to call me for counseling, and I'll solve the problem. All right. See you, man.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escaped fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home